Did I do
Hello.
it?
Oh, hello, I can hear you.
Hello, I can hear you too.
Oh, this is
Yay.
great. My new computer, well, it's not a new computer, it's just a new hard drive. But now I can actually hear people. This is great. I can do events like they're supposed to be done.
Oh boy. Moving on up in this world. Well, that sucks that you had to replace your hard drive. That's not exactly ideal.
No, no, no. You see, I prepared for this. I knew it was gonna happen, so I
Mm.
backed up everything starting like 6 months ago.
Ooh.
So I had lost nothing. Like it was business as usual. The only thing I lost is like 3 hours of my time in like getting the replacement ordered and then waiting. Well, that was a couple days. Waiting was a long time.
Yeah, no kidding. Alright.
But there's no loss of data, which is great.
Woohoo! Yeah,
How
that's
have you
always
been?
nice. I've been good. I've been good. Holidays were busy. But yeah, we're on the back end of that, fortunately. How about you? Everything cool?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything's going really well.
Did you do anything fun?
Over the holidays?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just traveled with friends.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I just traveled around like a few neighboring states.
Sounds
I
good.
mean, you know where I'm at, right? Like, you know, I'm in Iowa, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Wait,
there's
actually,
nobody
no,
around.
I did not know that. Believe.
Really?
I thought for some reason I thought you were in Seattle. Can't remember why.
Darn, I wish. I've heard Seattle is like super duper cool.
It is really cool. Yeah, I've only been there once, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Very cool town. Very. It was. We went in the winter though, and it was really rainy, and like not super cold. I mean, it was like 40s, 50s, but just sort of hard to get around, because it's raining all the time. But
Yeah, I've heard, like, don't they have only like 60 some days without rain?
I don't know, but that sounds right based on my experience. But
Yeah, like I heard like people have to take vitamin D tablets because they are at risk of deficiency.
oh, I buy that. I have to take vitamin D because I'm a pasty nerd, but that's same deal. It's just I have a choice.
You have a choice. Oh, that's funny. I was told I should start it too because I'm like a hermit. I I like literally live downstairs in the basement, and then
Nice.
I I think per week my amount of sunlight is 10 minutes.
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, that's about 10 minutes more than I get. So, good for you.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, I
Oh
live
my
my
God.
life in a climate-controlled, windowless environment, so yeah. I,
That
I
is true.
I think I melt when I hit the sun. It's not my
Oh,
friend.
I feel you on that. Totally do. Hey, actually, while there's nobody here, I wanted to ask you,
Yeah, what's up?
did you say that your spouse is also in medicine?
She's a nurse, yeah.
Ooh, do you think she'd be up to doing one of these events one day?
Uh,
Only,
I
only if she's like open to it and like is fine.
Oh yeah, no, I bet she would. She's been toying with starting a podcast of her own for quite a while now, actually. And I'm not really sure. Like I think time mostly is like she wants it to be. She's very much a perfectionist and wants to like put out a good product instantly. But I was like, hey, I haven't done that for months and people still watch me, so I think it's okay. Hey Gucci, what's up, dude? Levano, I don't know why bio is so hard. It's terrible. That's the only thing I had to study, and it was god awful. But yeah, I bet she was. I bet she would be willing to do this. She basically always makes fun of me. Hey, hold on. Let me ask her 1 second, real quick. Okay. No, she's not in your shot. Oh well, whatever.
Oh,
Anyway,
no worries.
um,
It's no rush. I just thought it'd be kind of interesting. Like, I think it's important for students to know that there's like, yes, there's a side of medicine, but then there's also that side of like nursing, which works so well together.
that's an interesting
And
idea, actually.
to
I like
understand
that.
like, yeah, to understand both aspects of it and
I dig
how
it.
we work together as a team.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I would. I'll try to get her interested in that. We'll see. We'll see how
Yeah,
it
and
goes.
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No, no, no. You're good. You're good.
We would absolutely link our podcast here too, like we do yours.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. I mean, that
Yeah.
hasn't like that's never come to fruition. But that's like, my point is like I think she would be interested in some sort of like live media kind of thing.
That'd be so much fun. You guys are like a duo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then one day, huh?
No,
Go ahead.
Keep going.
I said one day I'm gonna make both of you come on at the same time and be like, look,
Yeah.
guys, a joint podcast.
Yay! So have you decided for sure that you're keeping up with medicine, or would you rather not talk about that?
I'm fine talking about it. I am 90% leaning towards real estate at this point. In fact, I
Cool.
have been researching schools to further that degree as well.
Awesome.
I don't know,
Good for you.
certificate. And I have a name lined up for my real estate business because I am kind of what do you call it? Because I was like doing this with my parents. I'm trying to make my own startup as well.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, that's super cool, man. Good for you.
Thanks.
I wish I had known more about real estate when I was in, or just investing in general, just business and finance when I was in your position, so I could make a call like that.
Oh, I've been so fortunate. Like every single adult in my life has been so helpful in like getting me prepared, I guess, for like the real world. Like when I got my first job, my dad was like, "Look, whatever you make at your first job, I'll give you that like money, but you need to put it all in like your Roth IRA." And he like made me understand the basics of it, got me to like buy ETF stocks. Like he like literally made me sit down and learn that for a couple months.
What do your parents do? Are they?
My dad's in IT. He's
okay.
an architect in IT.
Okay, gotcha.
If I'm saying that correctly. And my mom studied psychology, but
Alright.
then did her master's and then became a stay-at-home mom because we moved to the United States. And she's like, like my kids, are still adjusting, so made that sacrifice for us.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Well, I'm glad that has worked out for you, because my parents had no such information to impart to me, and I've sort of learned it the hard way as I've gone. But it's all good. I can't say that I've done poorly for myself, but they just didn't. They weren't super aware of how to kind of invest for success. Like they kind of knew some very basic stuff like IRA investment and things along those lines, but as far as like, hey, you should get invested in real estate, it's really smart, or maybe you shouldn't be a doctor, because
Oh
like
my gosh, yeah.
they didn't have a whole lot of like useful input in terms of like career choice or degree stuff. I just sort of happened to be lucky enough to like be interested in things that were in demand and relatively lucrative, so I sort of have had the opportunity to learn the hard way without too much trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, again, if I had known early on, like, hey man, you probably ought to like buy a duplex and like you live in it and then you rent it to somebody else and you will make money. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Like house hacking, I'm trying to get my brother to do that because he wants to move out.
Yeah.
So I said, like, if you're just gonna be paying like somebody else's rent, one, let me buy the house or the duplex, so
yes,
like
exactly.
you pay rent to me, and two, find your roommates if you like, really want to go that route. Like, if you're just wanting to pay somebody's mortgage, pay mine.
Yeah. Hell yeah, there you go. Amen to that. Give you a good leg up. Yeah.
Because he's like not interested in owning a house. So I was like, well, if you're just gonna be paying rent, then let me benefit from it.
Yeah, seriously, dude. No reason not to, right?
Awesome. Well, it looks like I pinged everyone.
Cool.
And it's almost 8, so I am gonna hand it over to you, and I will mute myself, but I'll still be around as usual.
Wonderful. That sounds good.
Awesome possum. Welcome everybody.
Hello. Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Milkman Al, if you've never seen me before. Hang on 1 second. I'm linking things to people. Alright. Let me get to where I can actually see the AMA questions thing. There we go. Perfect. Yeah. Alright, cool. I'm Milkman Al. You can call me Alex. You can call me whatever you want. So I'm an anesthesiologist, have been for, over 5 years now. I don't know, some of you may know me already. I've done a few of these, AMA sorts of things. on this Discord server. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. I appreciate you having me. You feel like death? Why do you feel like death? Did you get the Rona? Anyway, you know, I've done talks on everything from, like, you know, once you get accepted to med school, what do you do? Financing, medical education, you know, and just general AMAs, and that's pretty much what this is going to be. I don't have any topics planned, but if there's something that anybody is, like, super interested in, please let me know. And I will be happy to focus on that, but otherwise, you guys are welcome to fire away. Any questions that you have at all are good to go. And by the way, congratulations to anybody who has been accepted to med school. That's super cool. And if you're just starting that long journey, that sucks, but at least you're in the right place. So, more power to you. And I do have, I am streaming this live for the record, so there are a few people in chat that I will address. Apparently, you got the disease Mcat studying. Yeah, man, that's... Fortunately, that one has a definite end. But you gotta take a big, healthy rectal dose of learning first. Symptoms, pain, and suffering. Amen. Amen to that. So, I guess, I will start off. Omicron is just murdering hospitals. So you guys, unfortunately, well, I don't know. If you're in med school, I'm sorry, because you're probably getting farmed out to do a whole bunch of scut work. But come join us. No, don't come join us. No.
Yeah, they're hilarious.
Anyway, yeah, I've been hearing lots of accounts of residents in particular just getting absolutely mercilessly hosed. For, you know, like they're working long hours, they're working in, you know, weird units that they don't normally go to, and you know, they're not being compensated, they're not getting hazard pay. It's basically just a massive shit show that makes it very clear that you're nothing but cheap labor to the hospital. So that isn't fun. And, you know, speaking as somebody who pretty routinely manages COVID patients, there's not a whole lot of education to be done there either. Like, they're all just sort of on vents, and you know, watch them wither until they die, basically. I mean, that's pretty morbid, but that's how it goes. It's not, like, it's not a useful thing for you to do. It really is just, like, grunt work. But what it means to you when you're on the other side of that, which, in other words, is what it means to me, is basically I just have extra time off. Like, I've worked 3 hours in the last, 3 hours in the last 3 days. Like, I'm off tomorrow because we just, like, aren't doing a whole lot of surgeries. We've canceled all of our elective surgeries that involve keeping people inpatient because the nursing staff is so like, depleted from people with COVID that they don't have enough nurses to take care of anybody else. So that's fun. But where? I don't know where that's happening, but I think it's pretty much universal. The, like, staffing abuse stuff, I think it's pretty much everywhere, from what I gather. And that's just sort of the name of the game in residency, honestly, man. Like, if there's a hole to be filled, you are the filler. Because you're cheap, you're salaried, and you basically have no recourse. Apparently there's a group that's, like, essentially making residency unions now. If they were around when I was a resident, I certainly didn't know about it, which would have been 6 years ago? Yeah, 6 years ago. But I think they're sledding uphill on that one. That's going to be a real tough change because there's lots of hospitals making millions and millions and millions of dollars off of residents. So there's a lot of power and a lot of money behind keeping things the way that they are. So, you know, you might get thrown a bone here and there, but ultimately it's going to be pretty much the same thing. And, you know, also, like, this is... All hospitals are absolutely just totally freaking out about the pandemic. I mean, this is, you know, it hasn't happened for 100 years, right? This is a totally unprecedented event. So, hopefully, for you guys' sake, this is all long gone and just a figment of your imagination, a terrible memory by the time you get to residency. So Al is great. Well, that is quite the compliment. Thank you, sir. So is your organic chemistry actually going to be useful? Nope. No, it's not. No, it is not. There are some useful concepts. Kind of the like things of similar polarity dissolve each other, and that kind of stuff. Like stuff that you learn in maybe the first like 2 or 3 weeks of organic chemistry is sort of applicable, but no, for the most part, that's pretty much trash if you're a physician. Favorite crossword puzzle? What is my favorite crossword puzzle? I don't think I've done one other than the New York Times for a long time, and even that I haven't done for a while. Usually, to be honest, if I'm wasting time, and I don't usually waste time in the OR. It's, like our operating rooms are. I have used the description, the nicest mission trip you'll ever take, to describe our hospital on more than one occasion. And so we don't have like internet access like on the anesthesia machines or anything. Like, so it's all just on your phone. So, maybe I'll like browse internet stuff or whatever if I'm giving somebody a break or doing my own case for some reason. But otherwise, I'm pretty much just like bullshitting with people in the OR. It's a good place to be. This is what he's talking about. Oh, let's see. Let's watch this. Here.
Hey, Anesthesia, I need to add on a case. No. What? Why? We don't have time and we're short-staffed. Oh, come on, you can squeeze it in. No, I'm sorry. Okay,
I love
fine.
this guy. Yeah, nice.
What are you doing? Just doing some puzzles.
That's badass. I love it. Yeah, no, that is definitely an anesthesia meme. That like all we do is just kind of sit around and like do nothing. Hey Nautilus, what's up, dude? How are you? Happy hump day. Oh, anesthesia resident in the crowd. Hey, dude. Welcome. I hope you're not getting plowed under like everybody else is.
Yes.
Love the YouTube short. Yeah. Dr. Glockham Fleckner or whatever it is. Let's see. Have I had any experience with the intersection between psych and anesthesia? So not like on a professional level. The only things that I've really done with that, so I've done a fair amount of reading about like postoperative cognitive decline and stuff like that. Oddly enough, I had the only like severe POCD patient that I've ever seen when I was a medicine intern. Actually, yeah, I was an intern, and it was a dude that like I saw him when he was about 2 months out from surgery, and he just like couldn't do anything. Like, you'd ask him a question and he had like this really weird cognitive slowing, and he'd eventually give you an answer that made sense, but didn't really like couldn't put it together. And
Yes.
like he couldn't like put his pants on, he couldn't do these like executive functions that require some sort of like order of operations or any of that. It was really strange. So I've kind of kept that in mind. But for that case, I did a whole bunch of reading, and I've been sort of interested in that all along. So neuropsych conditions, something you need to take into consideration when creating a dosing plan. Yes, potentially. Yeah, for sure. In people who have like, I mean, schizophrenia is a really good example. That's probably the easiest thing. You need to avoid stuff that has like psychotropic effects. For instance, ketamine. that's a big one to pretty much put on the do not give list for those people. Generally speaking, though, anesthesia is pretty good for those things. Like a lot of people will give Haldol for like post-op nausea. Yeah, let's try that again. Post-op nausea. So they kind of go hand in hand. The problem is you get a lot of delirium with those patients because they are sort of off kilter at baseline. So it's a weird balance, but I actually would like to do a little bit more of that. And the postoperative cognitive decline thing is kind of a current topic in anesthesia because we're finding out that repeated anesthetics is probably pretty bad for you in terms of long-term function. Yes. And right now we're sort of trying to figure out how bad, like what exactly that means. And, you know, unfortunately that's kind of an academic exercise because if you need anesthesia, you need anesthesia. It doesn't really matter that much. But, you know, it's still kind of a frontier of the specialty, which I think is cool. What do you think about an SMP to get into school? I think it depends on which one you do. Like, I think some of them are sort of money grab. Well, I think most of them are money grabs from what I understand. But some of them are better than others and are more highly regarded than others. So, I mean, things probably have changed since I did this because this was 13 years ago. But when I did it, Tulane was known for having a really good one that reliably got people into med school. What were some other ones? I think like South Carolina had one that was well known. Can't remember exactly, but yeah, I mean it's not a terrible way to do it. If you're confident that you can go in and like crush it, then yeah. But if you go in and perform mediocre, you've basically sealed your fate. Hey, Hamoose, what's up, man? Thank you for joining up. What can a pre-med do with an EMT certification? A lot. Get tons of useful clinical experience. You know, be patient-facing. Get some basic skills under your belt, like placing IVs, IO stuff, intubating patients, you know, and really just dealing with people. That's actually a much bigger deal than a lot of people consider it to be, because unfortunately medicine is very much a service industry. I think we've sort of gotten away a little bit from patient feedback, like patient satisfaction being a prime determinant in, you know, funding, reimbursement, stuff like that, but it still is a factor. So, you know, if you like routinely get bad reviews and stuff, that's you know, that's gonna look bad on you, and you're gonna, you know, you'll hear from the administration and stuff. Hey Gad, what's going on, man? Thank you for joining up. I'm glad you found the stream. But yeah, so even doing something like being a server is very, very useful to you, because you sort of learn how to deal with people at their worst, basically, and do it all day long, and troubleshoot when, you know, you've done nothing wrong. That's unfortunately very much what medicine is like. But yeah, an EMT is great, man. That's really, really good experience. And more generally speaking, anything that's like clinical experience and a job, specifically, note not a volunteer position, is really good. So most difficult intubation story. Probably one recently where this is one of 2 times that I've ever had to wake a patient up. It was basically just a dude who had, I don't know why, but all of his anatomy was just totally swollen. And I mean, like, just looking at him, he looked like a difficult intubation, like a giant thick neck. You know, he's like a 400-pound dude to begin with. But everything on the inside was just edema. And, like, I couldn't intubate him. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't put an LMA in. And, like, we couldn't really even mask ventilate him because he had so much, like, tissue just blocking stuff off. And so I had to wake him up. Like, I had a couple of my partners come in and try to help, and it wasn't happening. And he was there for, like, a total shoulder, I think, like a shoulder replacement. So we had to intubate him. Like, I tried to place an LMA to, like, you know, salvage it and wake him up smoothly, but basically we just had to struggle to mask ventilate him until his propofol wore off. And that was not easy. We beat the shit out of his throat, man. He came back a month later and he was like, yeah, I still have a sore throat. You're still PGY1. Okay. That's cool, dude. You're almost there. You're getting to the real stuff. You're not at one of those programs where you do the like, what am I trying to say? So like you split your intern year basically. Some programs were kind of rotating to that when I was going through, and I don't know how prevalent that is. But it seems like a nice break from just getting bombarded with whatever nonsense intern year has. Hey, Cockroach Princess is alive! Cockroach Princess had surgery today, folks. And his anesthesiologist successfully did not kill him, apparently, unless there's a ghost in my chat, which is really weird. Yeah, no, I couldn't use a bougie either. I couldn't even see his glottis. I couldn't see any, like, airway structures that meant anything. Or his epiglottis, for that matter. I was just, like, flying blind, even with the bronchoscope. I couldn't do shit. Let's see. Any advice for non-cred MCAT med school app? So for MCAT practice questions, dude, like, you were in the right place for this, you know, with this MCAT Discord. Like, there, you'll have a lot of people who know much better than I would at this point. Because I've heard that UWorld has MCAT questions now, and they do fantastic Step 1 questions. He had a CRNA, glad he made it out alive. Hey now, CRNAs are very qualified and they're really good at their jobs. But I appreciate you firing that shot nonetheless. Should have FaceTimed your CRNA? Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, non-treds, in my view, have a lot of experience to leverage. Basically, I enjoyed interviewing non-trads because honestly I felt like they were more interesting, especially career changers. You know, you have a lot to talk about where you're like, oh, I had this career and I don't know, had a desk job. Or one of my good friends from residency was a physical therapist and a drug rep before going to med school, so we had a lot of you know, relevant experience and a lot of, like, real-world clout that, you know, coming straight out of college, most people don't have. So you can make a much more informed decision, so really leverage that in your application and your interviews. That's very important for you. Let's see, new grad nursing student starting your job next week in the ICU. Could I talk about the relationship between CRNAs and the anesthesiologist? I think it's very good. Personally, I think that the like the animosity and desire for, you know, CRNAs to practice independently is pretty overblown. And you should take that with a grain of salt, because I am in Kansas City, which is a place that is very easy to escape, and it's very easy for the people who do want that independence to have it, right? So you can drive 45 minutes in any direction and get paid $250,000 to, like, solo some small hospital or surgery center or something. So the people, again, who want to do that can. So I think that in the places that I have worked, which are, you know, medium-sized and larger hospitals, that was a non-issue, because everybody who works there wants to. They want to be a part of a care team model. So again, take my opinion and my experience with a grain of salt, but I have not noticed any problems with the relationship. I've had nothing but good relationships with the anesthetists that I've been involved with. And I've also had the striking fortune of working with some very talented, safe, intelligent people. So yeah, I've had zero issues with that. Can you shadow me? Well, if you come to Kansas City and you give me a call, you can shadow me, man. I will, basically, if anybody takes the time to, you know, contact me and, like, bother to show up, take your time to do it, then yeah, come on in. We'll make that happen. Not a problem. I like having people around to shadow most of the time. Sometimes it's like a super busy day and it sort of sucks to like have somebody in tow, yes. To be honest. but it's, if it's somebody who's like legit interested in anesthesia, like you'll learn a lot. You do a lot of cool stuff. Holy shit, does your abdomen hurt? Yeah, man, you got stabbed like 5 times, bro. that's kind of how that goes. Let's see, what's the hardest thing and then the most fun thing that I encountered through med school and residency? So the hardest thing, well, so I guess that's kind of a multi-part question, right? So hardest thing in med school was probably having the discipline to get through step 1. Dude, that sucks. Like, I studied for 8 hours a day for 7 weeks, and that was not cool. Especially when it's, you know, otherwise time off. That sucks, man. How would this work? DM contact info? Yeah, you can do that. You can contact me to Shadow. Anyway, yeah, so step one is the worst. I wouldn't say that was like a particularly bad time. I mean, because that's like all you have to do. You know, all you have to do is just wake up and grind out studying. But just the discipline it takes to do that the whole frickin' summer is excruciating. I would say the most fun part of med school was 4th year, because, and I know that's a stupid, super generic answer, but here's why I say that. So you get to do 4th year is when you do all of your electives, for those of you who don't know. And generally that means you do rotations in the specialty of your choice. So I did a bunch of anesthesia rotations, which meant I showed up, did a bunch of cool stuff, like intubated people, you know, placed IVs, learned a bunch of cool things, and then I went home at like noon every day, which was awesome. Also, I kind of had some insider information and basically set up my schedule so I was done at the end of January. So I had like 4 months off of school. And granted, I paid for those months because you still have to pay full tuition even though you're not there. But yeah, so I basically did all of the stuff that I wanted. I actually really enjoyed interviewing. I enjoyed interviewing for residency a lot. So did that, and then I had a ton of time off. So it's like positives all around. Residency. So I think the positives of residency are the education, but that's pretty much where it ends. Like you learn how to do a whole bunch of neat stuff and get really good at it. But residency is just a brutal beatdown the entire time. Which is why I feel so bad for people now who are getting like relocated to places that suck to staff all these COVID patients. It's just total bullshit. Yeah, I feel very bad about that for you guys. Let's see. How do I think step 1 being pass-fail affects matching? I think that they'll just slide on to step 2 to be the gold standard. And I think that was a very, very bad and short-sighted move on the NBME's part, because that's like sort of the obvious solution. I actually did a whole video on this. I'll link you to that. Oh, no, I won't. Never mind. But yeah, if you go on my YouTube, I did a video on that, and it's yeah, I think that was a really stupid idea. Is it necessary to get a steps 2 score in before submitting apps? I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna go, because this is actually the first month it's been pass fail, right? So I think programs are still adapting to that, and I don't know how they're gonna play that. I would say that it's a very good idea too. Because if they come back at you and they're like, well, we're waiting to interview you until, we have the step 2 score, like, that'd suck. It'd suck real bad. But the problem is, since programs have not adapted to it, they don't have dedicated time for you to study for that. So you run into this problem where you either do your elective rotations, which if you're not doing something super competitive, that's not like a huge deal. But if you are, then, you want to get all of your like plastics or ortho rotations in ASAP, so you have FaceTime and connections with all of these people that you're, potentially going to be doing residency with. So that sucks. That sucks real hard. But if you can afford to take off that first month and study, copiously for step 2, then I would probably do that. So you have a score back by the time you apply. That is exactly your current problem. I know, right? This is what I'm saying. Like, these are things that, I've been disconnected from this world for 10 years, and I'm like, well, shit, obviously this is going to happen when you take step 1 away, step one scoring away. Like, clearly this is going to be the fallout. I mean, like, come on, guys. Come on. Like, I'm just one dude, and I have no idea how to administer these tests or anything, but Like, this is obvious. How could they not see this? Isn't this like a whole panel of MDs making these decisions? Like, damn, dude. Let's see. Yeah, you got me on my soapbox. Nice work. Do I have a YouTube channel or something? I do. I will link you to it. Oh, it's actually pulled up right here. YouTube channel. There you go. Wow, I have a lot of questions I haven't answered. Damn. You guys are on fire. Holy crap. Okay, let's see. Where was I? How many video games did I play during med school? A crap load, my friend. A lot. Once I figured out, oh wow, that wasn't the last question, but anyway. Yeah, a lot. Once I figured out that going to class was a bad idea for me, that made my studying, like, literally twice as efficient, maybe more than that. And, I had a ton of extra free time. And, as I said, I had, like, 4 or 5 months off between the end of med school and residency, so I was just, like, gaming constantly. My now wife, girlfriend at the time, was pretty convinced that I was an alcoholic, because really all I did was, like, drink and game. She wasn't wrong. She was not wrong. Umer, how's it going, man? Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Alright, where am I in this list of questions? Holy shit, there are so many. Let's see. What are the concepts, sciences useful to learn for anesthesia? Physiology by far. Physiology and pharmacology are probably the best ones. Have I gotten the opportunity to do research? I have zero interest in doing research. And you are welcome for answering all these questions. I am happy to do it. You guys have... I've found that... I mean, I've done this, what, probably about a dozen times now, and I found that people have really, really good questions as a whole. Like, it goes extremely well, like, every time. So thank you for that, by the way. Yeah, I don't really have any interest in doing research. You easily can have the opportunity to do research, though, because in my experience, a lot of anesthesia staff and residents are similarly minded to me, so there's tons of openings for that. And there's a bunch of, like, weird kind of fringe stuff that you can figure out, especially if you can combine it with some sort of financial analysis. That's a big deal, because we waste a lot of stuff. So if you can figure out ways to, like, streamline, like, a lot of it would be, like, process-based things. So one example is we used to switch leads, like EKG leads, between the OR and the PACU, but they figured out that not doing that, like, literally saved the hospital, like, $100 per surgery or something. So, yeah, so things like that are actually a big deal. But if you're looking to do, like, drug research and stuff, I'm not sure what all is out there, to be honest. Because we're pretty well indoctrinated in, you know, the drugs that are available right now, and I haven't had much experience with that since leaving residency. How do I remember anything? Sorry. Yeah, so you remember things by... It's a skill. Memory is a skill, right? So... if you try to hone that skill, you will. So you basically just study all the time, and you make a conscious effort to remember things, and active learning is very important. That's why you will hear me beat practice questions to death in this stream. Practice questions are... Oh, sweet, you whispered me? Nice. I will check that out. But yeah, practice questions are very important, and flashcards work for a lot of people because it's all, like, active stuff. And, you know, keeps your brain engaged, and you're not just, like, staring at a textbook page. That's all super important. But that's the best way, is challenge yourself, try to grow. I know it's difficult, especially with a, you know, medical condition that makes it harder for you, but you can still do it. You can definitely still do it. Let's see. Ooh, support from ADHD and Asperger's. Okay, well that is staunch support. How competitive is it to get into anesthesia residency? I think it's still middle of the pack. like maybe a little bit above average, which is nice. It's really nice. Let's see. Active recall daily. Yeah, good advice here on the protein smoothies are your best friend. Nice. What advice you give pre-meds with COVID precautions being in place almost everywhere? Cold call. A lot of people. I'm assuming you mean for like shadowing and getting jobs and stuff. It's probably less of an issue for employment because you just have to sign a bunch of waivers and stuff and get tested and do whatever, you know, your employer's policies are. But for shadowing, you're just going to have to call a bunch of people, use your connections, cold call, you know, figure all that stuff out. It sucks. It's a bad time to have to try to get that box checked. But you should be able to do it without too much problem. But it'll take some perseverance. I think now maybe things are like, even though Omicron is just like absolutely just rocking us hardcore, I think things are sort of settling down-ish in hospitals because they've kind of hit the groove. Despite these like labor shortages and stuff, they sort of hit the groove of like how to deal with COVID. And you know, that's obviously subject to change. Like if we keep having 1 million cases a day, then we're probably back on lockdown real soon. But anyway, yeah, just call people. Let's see. Any advice for pre-med student to gain experience, whether that's clinical or more along the lines of shadowing, that'll help with med school admissions? So shadowing, I think, is a useful thing to do for a little bit. There's like only so much you can do when you're just sort of standing around. Like, I would do that, and if you find somebody who's, you know, willing to kind of teach you while you're there, you know, stick with them. Maybe go back with them like another day or two or something. But really, you kind of learn by doing. So my advice is to get a job, get a clinical job. I was a pharmacy tech. It was fantastic. Great experience. You know, you got yelled at by customers all the time, so you learn how to deal with that. Like, you know, you learn meds, you learn how to deal with insurance, you learn how to deal with physicians who, like, write weird prescriptions and screw it up. Which, you know, I have been on multiple occasions. Like, that was a great job. If you could be, like, a scribe. Scribe is a very good job. You know, if you really want to go balls to the wall being like a scrub tech or something, that's pretty hardcore. And like we were talking about earlier, EMT is a good option, but those require a lot of training. So that's a, you know, kind of a dedicated thing. With the pharmacy tech, I just trained on the job, but I still found that very useful, very helpful. I pretty much knew all of the pharmacology before I even got into med school. That was sweet. Have I ever had glottic stenosis occur post-surgery with some of my patients? Not that I'm aware of. I've dealt with that, though. I've dealt with people who've had traumatic intubations. And, like, you know, had some scar tissue or something, or, like, vocal cord damage or whatever. That does happen. How did I get the job as a pharmacy tech? I just applied. Do you need any experience before getting a pharmacy tech job? No, I don't think so. I think that's an entry-level position. Some places might, like, send you to a training course or something. But, yeah, I didn't. I just got hired and trained on the job. It helped that I worked in a really undesirable location, kind of in the hood in Kansas City. But, yeah, there wasn't a problem with experience. They just trained me. And I mean, like, let's be real, you're, you know, probably a pretty smart, driven person, so I wouldn't worry about it. You'll figure it out pretty quick if they let you do that. You can ask questions in DMs, but I'll see it more quickly here. And it looks like I have a crap load of DMs, dear God. What's important when going into an interview for med school, and what insider information? So, let's see. Important when going in for an interview is to, like, have a useful answer to, like... So, I've done a couple videos on interviewing, but, basically you need to be able to answer some very basic questions, which are, like, why do you want to go here? Why do you want to do medicine? Here being the school that you're interviewing at. Tell me about yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? you know, like, what do you like to do? What are your hobbies? Those sorts of things. If you can't answer those questions, don't bother interviewing, because those are gimmies. They're softballs, and you know you're going to get asked them. Does being a pharmacy tech count as clinical experience? Hell yeah, it does. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Do I think anesthesiology is a specialty that it's intellectually fulfilling on a day-to-day basis? Does it ever get monotonous? No, it does not, actually. It is one of the most, like, great, engaging things ever, because you really can't ever turn your brain off, because even young, healthy people can have serious complications, like, at any time. You know, it's a very physically active job, which you wouldn't think about it, but like, I'm walking around all day, every day. I've never bothered to have a pedometer on, but some of my partners who have them get 10,000 steps, like, before they leave at, you know, 2. So they're we're on the move all the time if we're in the operating room, because we're watching 4 ORs, and you know, you're constantly having to come up with plans for something, or like change your plans, or adapt, or, you know, figure shit out to, you know, go to the ICU. Like, somebody calls you with this like weird oddball problem, and it's like you have to handle it, because they're like, cool, we called anesthesia, done. Now we can go do something else, and like, you're sort of the Swiss Army knife. So no, it does not get monotonous, even though the bread and butter of, you know, my career basically is like, you know, screening colonoscopies and like hernia repairs and total joints and stuff, which, you know, that's boring. That's boring most of the time. But again, you have all of these weird complications come up, so that keeps it very, very lively. How does one become a med school professor? I don't know. I think you... it depends on what you mean by that. So if you're talking about in the preclinical years, you specialize in a subject. Most of those people, in my experience, were PhDs. If you're talking about a professor in the sense of like a clinical professor, basically you just tell the school that you want to do that, and you apply for the job, and you'll be one. And a lot of the time you'll be you'll have residents and stuff too. That's a good question. Back to this. Oh my god, you guys. I'm so deep. I'm so buried in all of this. Let's see. What is the biggest factor that drew me to anesthesia, and when did I decide that's what I wanted to do? So I shadowed a few anesthesiologists just by coincidence, because a couple of my parents' high school friends were anesthesiologists, and a couple of my friends' parents were also anesthesiologists, so I had a lot of relevant shadowing experience there. And I was like, yeah, you know, I could do this. This is kind of cool. It's like really generalist and varied, and you kind of do different stuff all the time. And I got to med school and got deeper into it, and I was like, yeah, this is really cool. And once I did all my rotations and stuff, I was like, yeah, I can definitely do this. And, you know, some other specialties like ortho, I actually thought real hard about. Sports medicine. I liked sports medicine a whole lot. And I actually liked urology a lot more than I expected to as well. But still, anesthesia was like the best combo of lifestyle and cool stuff, and you know, kind of work-life balance. And so I did that. And I kind of like the you know, 0.5% sheer terror, 99.5% normal, you know, steady as she goes sort of thing. And during that 0.5% terror, like, you are unquestionably in charge with very few exceptions. So like, anesthesia shows up and they're just like, okay, here you go. You run this code. You take care of this person. You fix that shit. This is all bad. Which I like. I think that's cool. I like thinking on my feet like that, and I like all of the physics and pharmacology and all that stuff involved in it. It's really it fits me perfectly. And you don't have the same problem that a lot of specialties do, which is that you sort of get like cornholed into your specialty and you just fall into your niche, because anesthesia is all over the place. You have to know everything, pretty much. And you use it all the time. How stressful is the job on the daily? I would say medium. We are very busy. Like I said, we're like running around all the time. And, you know, while you're doing that, you have to coordinate the operating room schedule. So if you have a couple cases go wrong, you know, like some bad outcomes unexpectedly or something, that can really ramp the stress up pretty quickly. Especially for us, because we're, like, my group is a small independent group, and we run pretty lean to maximize income and profits. Hey, the Judge Josh. Thanks for following, dude. I appreciate that. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. But yeah, so we're kind of, I mean, we're not really short-staffed, but we don't have a whole lot of give for disasters to happen. So you just kind of have to up your game whenever that does happen, and you just take it. So that can make it pretty stressful. And, you know, obviously if you have like somebody die or some, you know, have some catastrophic outcome, then that sucks. That kind of weighs on your mind a little bit. But like day to day, it's not too bad, and it's easy to leave behind. It's easy to leave behind at work, at least for me. You know, maybe some people feel differently, but when I walk out of there, I'm good. Like there's some people that I'll follow up on. Like if I did a really interesting case, or somebody was like super sick, or they had something bad, you know, had a bad outcome or whatever. Like I'll follow up on them the next day, but it doesn't weigh on me. But yes, it can be kind of stressful. Have I ever had any scary experience? Yeah, all the freaking time, man. Hey, Looper, what's up, dude? You're welcome for the info. Appreciate you being here for the stream, dude. Hope you get something out of it. Yeah, anesthesia is like I said, there's moments where you're just like losing your freaking mind. You know, the ones that are worst are the unexpected problems. So like when you show up and somebody just like crashes and you can't figure out why, and you just kind of like have to fix it and like throw the macaroni at the wall and see what sticks, then that's really terrifying. I talked earlier about the guy that I couldn't mask or intubate no matter what I did. That was super scary. The ones that are the worst, I think the scariest cases are little babies, little like neonate babies, because they just crump, man. Like, so for reference, like if you pre-oxygenate an adult, a healthy adult, is the ortho bro stereotype true? 100%, 100% true. But if you pre-oxygenated an adult with 100% oxygen, you got about 2.5 minutes, something like that, before they desaturate, like before they start losing oxygen saturation. For a neonate, it's like 10 seconds. So, you know, and presumably if I see a neonate, there's, you know, something kind of wrong with them. So it's even less than that. And that is freaking awful. Like, you're gonna kill somebody's baby, you know? I mean, yeah, if I never take care of another premature kid, it'll be too soon. I don't miss that. I don't miss that at all. Dentist here, do you feel like residency prepared you for practice? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was very prepared for practice. And yes, I do private practice. Like I said, I'm in a small independent group, in a kind of medium-sized hospital in the Kansas City area. Yeah, I finished residency on June 30th, which was a Thursday, and I started as an attending on July 1st, which was a Friday. And actually my first two patients that I supervised, one was having, this will require a little explanation, but one was having an ERCP, which is a endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography. Basically, the GI docs go in and like try to grab stones out of your bile duct, and that's the short version of it. But they do it when you're prone, and they kind of like turn your head to the side so they can get the scope in. What the fuck do you call it? Whatever, the scope. Anyway, and so the first guy that I did was like 80 something, and he'd had a cervical fusion, like he'd had a neck fusion. And I walked in the room and saw the GI nurse just take this guy's head and go boop, and just like turn it to the side. And I was like, oh God, why would you do that? Why would you do that? And then the second patient was a guy with like pretty severe heart problems, and he was having a carotid endarterectomy, which I also did a YouTube video on that you should watch because it's an amazing surgery. I watched the CRNA push an entire stick of propofol in this guy, which is like basically an overdose by 3 times. Dr. G, what's up, man? Thank you for following. Yeah, so I like got to freak out twice in a row. Those are my first 2 cases. I was like, holy shit, what did I get myself into? This is the worst job ever. But it settled out after that. That's all good. But yes, I was totally ready for private practice. The transition from like being everybody's bitch to running the show and having people ask me what I wanted was really weird. That was really, really weird. But you know, you get used to it. Let's see, y'all. Did I know I wanted anesthesia when I started med school? Yeah, like I said, I had a decent idea that's what I wanted to do. Do I feel the world of medicine is accepting of older, non-traditional students? Yes, I do. Absolutely. Like I said, when I was interviewing med students, I kind of enjoyed talking to the non-traditional students because they just had a lot more to offer for the most part. Like, you've got a lot more life experiences, and you're generally making a much more informed decision to go into medicine. So yeah, I think it's very forgiving and very welcoming of, you know, career changers and stuff. Do I take volunteers? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I was saying, I let anybody who bothers to like show up and contact me. Yeah, no problem, Patrick. Anytime, dude. Thanks for hanging out with us. Yeah, anybody that bothers to contact me and ask to shadow, I'm on board. Like, if you're willing to put forth that effort, then I can meet you halfway and show you some cool stuff. The last person that I shadowed with got to see or that shadowed with me, got to see a redo heart, which is a huge deal. And also got to see us pull out the biggest carrot that I've ever seen from somebody's butt. So I can't promise you a time that's quite that entertaining, but it does. I see some weird stuff. Can one do Sir Jonk in the community? Yeah, for sure. I think it's more common in academic centers, no doubt. But like, yeah, absolutely. We have a breast surgeon at my hospital, and you know, there's certainly a lot of room for, especially for like hepatobiliary stuff. So like, you know, doing Whipple procedures and liver cysts and Mets and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can do Sir Jonk in the community. And what would I make volunteers do? Nothing, because you really can't do anything, honestly. You know, per like, you're not credentialed to do any procedures. So I would, like, if it were up to me, I'd let you do whatever the hell you wanted to. But unfortunately, I don't really care for getting sued. So you wouldn't get to do much. Rutabangas, what's up, dude? Do I think that being a doctor is worth it? Depends on what you mean by worth it. I have a great job. I really enjoy my job and my career. I make a lot of money. I have a very fulfilling, like, lifestyle. But it is challenging, and it's a long-ass road, and the opportunity cost is gigantic. So you have to keep in mind that all of you people are very driven, very smart. Like, you know, you're kind of, like, intellectually kind of like the top end of the population, right? So if you want to do something else, you will be very successful doing that as well. So if you wanted to go into tech or finance or marketing or, you know, real estate, whatever, you know, you're gonna do well in those things. Like, you have the drive and the intelligence to succeed hardcore in whatever you want to do. So I have recently become aware of, hey Air, what's up? Thanks for following, dude. I appreciate that. It's good to see some new faces, man. Everybody showing up for this. That's really cool. I like it. Yeah, anyway, I think if you're going into medicine for financial stability, do not do that. You do something else. But if that's just like one of the reasons, and you know, you want to like genuinely want to help people, you want to like know a bunch of stuff, you know, you want to be well respected, you know, have this like cool career that's very practically applicable. I mean, there's way more to medicine than just making money. So if you think that all of those things are cool, then yeah, go for it. Absolutely. Like I said, I feel very fulfilled. I love my job. I have a great lifestyle. But yeah, take all those things into consideration, man. I mean, if like, so it's really hard for me to say this, but like if you're thinking about doing like pediatrics, your opportunity cost is going to be massive, and your return on that investment is not going to be massive. Like most pediatricians are making like $200 to $250 tops, which yes, I understand is a lot of money, but after you pay $300,000 for your medical education and then get 4 years of interest compounded on that, even if you get some, pretty substantial debt forgiveness afterwards, that's still gonna hurt in the pocketbook real bad, dude. And you're gonna be on the front lines, and you're gonna be the grunt worker, of medicine basically for the rest of your life. And you know what? If that's your calling, if that's what you just love to do, you can't see yourself doing anything else, great. That we need good primary care docs, we need good pediatricians, but be aware of what you're getting into. So, unfortunately, my answer to that sort of hinges on what sort of specialty you're going to go into. Like anesthesia, yeah. Yeah, I totally recommend anesthesia. It's kind of a helter-skelter lifestyle. Like I have a lot of call and my hours are all weird and screwed up, but I do have a lot of time off. Like I said, I make a great living. I'm very happy. But what if you graduate med school with $100K debt? Yeah, I mean, it makes it easier to pay off, right? But yeah, like Mooney says, the average med school debt is over $200,000, like 210, and that factors in a lot of zeros, right? Because there's people who have like military scholarships, there's people who have just like straight up academic scholarships, there's people whose parents pay for med school. So I don't know what the median is, but I would guess probably mid 200s is median med school indebtedness. And then, like I said, you can't really pay on that during residency, so all of that interest just capitalizes for 3 to 7 years, which in my case was like 30-ish% extra debt, just because. I mean, it's a very big cost, and when you consider that you could do something like be an anesthesiologist assistant, which is like the PA version or the anesthesia equivalent of a PA, and make $200,000 a year, with a 2.5-year master's degree. That sort of sounds crappy, right? Like, why would you want a $250,000 a year job with 7 years of training and 300 grand of debt when you can have 50 grand of debt and make 200 grand, 5 years earlier? What were my residency hours like? Bad, but not as bad as they could have been. Upper 60s hours. And I was on call once every 9 days, as I recall. But call was brutal, man. We just got rocked for 24 straight hours. Like, we were up the entire time, basically. You could catch, like, half-hour cat naps maybe, like, 3-4 times a night. But, yeah. Yeah, residency sucks. And the bad thing about anesthesia is, like, the pace is such that you were just going the whole time. Some specialties might not be quite that bad, but, like, they might work more hours. I mean, our hours were tough. They were busy hours, so not ideal. Is anesthesia tech a plus as a pre-med? Yeah, for sure, man. That's a great experience. No, nobody's gonna look down on that. No, that's really good experience. Anything in the OR where you're like, kind of getting an understanding of like a very important part of healthcare's flow. So let me, as an aside, the operating room is what drives hospitals financially. Okay, so if you understand how the operating room works, you sort of understand how the money machine flows, and that's really important, in my opinion. It's very, very important to understand, how everything's kind of interwoven, and that gives you a really good idea of what you're going into. So you'll be ahead of the game in that regard. And I don't think anybody expects you to, either have an idea of what you want or not be laser focused on something that you want to do. I mean, most people change their mind, I would say, for what specialty they want to do, but you don't. I don't think anybody, will hold you to any standards one way or another on that. Let's see. Was I thinking about other specialties during med school? I was trying real hard to keep an open mind. Like I said, I really enjoyed ortho sports med, and I liked urology, and I also liked family practice more than I thought. I like family practice a lot more than I thought, but I knew that that was like not really what I wanted to do. I wanted to be more specialized than that. But yeah, I mean, there were a bunch of things that I enjoyed a lot more than I thought I would. Hey, QWERTY, what's up, dude? Yeah, I am doing quite well. You stay safe as well, dude. We actually got put on the front lines, so I found out that this is probably not standard, but our hospital basically voluntold us to place all of the tubes and central lines and art lines for everybody who got admitted to the ICU with COVID. So we do that. So basically we have maximum exposure to all of the sickest patients. So hopefully you did not have a similar experience, but yeah, that's where we are. And somehow I haven't had COVID yet. I don't know. I figured I would have gotten it for sure, because I'm just like all up in these, you know, massive viral shedders constantly. What does a typical schedule look like for me? There's no such thing. Let's see. Can I show you this without doxing myself? We're gonna give it a shot. So I'm gonna show. I actually make the schedule for my group. So I'm gonna show you what my schedule looks like, and we'll walk through it. All right. So this is my schedule. Can you guys see this? Okay. Let me see. No, it looks like crap. There we go. All right, so if you're on stream, you can see this. So we're looking at my schedule right now. So we rotate between, so we have 5 people. We bring 5 people in every day. And the first person shows up at 6:30, and we do 24-hour calls that are not technically in-house, but I personally choose to stay in-house because it's just more comfortable that way. So the early guy either goes home at like, you know, 7:30 to 8 a.m. if there's not a heart surgery, or if there is a heart surgery, he goes home after that. And that's typically 11:30ish because we only have one heart surgeon right now, and he's really fast. So early is either, you know, 7:30 or 11:30. Doc 1 is next, and generally that's 10 to noon or 10 to 1ish. Doc 2 is somewhere from the like 1 to 3ish range. Late is usually about 3 to 4. And the operating room typically ends about 7ish to 8. And then overnight, you usually get called like once for a labor epidural. And I am on, since there are 7 of us in the call schedule, I am on call Q7, which means every 7 days on average. But since we have 10 weeks of vacation, that means that you're actually on call about every 3 to 4 days that you're actually working. So we are on call a lot. But overall, I work about 45-hour weeks, like mid-40s hours, including call, where generally you sleep about 6 to 8 hours. So not bad. Not bad. You got placed on the hospital line airway team? Yeah, dude. It's rough, man. It's rough. But capture those charges, right? How prevalent is the mid-tier creep on job outlook following residency? Well, like I was saying, I don't think here it's very bad. There are actually several local hospitals that have straight up, they've like tried CRNAs, and they're like, yeah, we don't really like how they practice, and have like gone back to an MD only practice, even though it's like literally twice as expensive. They're just like, we prefer having MDs. I can think of 2 hospitals in particular that have done that. But yeah, and again, around here, like all of the CRNAs who want to practice independently can do so pretty easily, because I'm in the Kansas City area, and you can just leave the city. You leave, you know, if you drive an hour, there's tons of like smaller rural hospitals that they can go to and practice independently. So the demand for that in the city is very low. Like all of the malcontents leave, I think, is my that's my thought, at least. Do I think e-shadowing is a good idea? No, I think that's a waste of your time. I don't think you're gonna get anything out of that. Shadowing in my mind is more about being hands-on and like actually experiencing, you know, the profession, and like it's for you. Yeah, like I understand that it's checking a box on your app list, but you know, shadowing is ultimately for you to like inform your decision to go into medicine. So, yeah, I don't think e-shadowing's gonna do you much good. How much research do you need to match into anesthesiology? I have a grand total of 0, so not much. I don't know about like more competitive programs or areas, but I don't think it's much of an issue. Patrick, what's up? Did I find... oh yeah, you asked that on YouTube. Cool. Yep, answered. Subscribing? Hell yeah! Thank you. I've heard so many med students say that they don't go to class. Are there pros to actually attending in-person classes? Not for me. When I went to class, I basically just screwed around the whole time and was like, you know, dicking around on the internet, because I could go through a like, you know, an hour lecture in 15 minutes. So I was constantly like, you know, stopping and starting and stuff. If you're the type who likes to ask a whole bunch of questions and get clarification and stuff, then I guess that's a good thing, but dude, I mean, there's so many good review materials that I don't see a whole lot of point in going to class. Unless you think you're going to miss, like, a test question where the professor's like, this will absolutely be on the test, you know, kind of thing, but it's some, like, obscure fact. Like, yeah, you know, you might be sacrificing a couple of those points, but I think overall it's much more efficient to not go to class. What did I eat with a busy schedule during residency? So generally ate crap at the cafeteria, so I always eat breakfast. I can't wake up without breakfast, so I'd wake up a little early and get like a bowl of cereal or something, just for some calories. And then I'd eat, you know, whatever the hospital cafeteria had, usually like chicken strips or burger or some nonsense. And then my wife was badass and would cook for me a lot of the time. When she knew I was on a rotation where I wouldn't be home until like 6 or 7 or something, she'd have dinner ready. And she always cooked like really good fresh meals and stuff. So I was super, super lucky in that regard. But yeah, during the day, you just kind of eat whatever you can. And we frequently acquired food by means other than going through the checkout line, if you know what I mean. Yes, awesome wife indeed. But yeah, there was, like, the cafeteria was super busy, so we would just, like, go and get our food and bounce. Like, you know, there just wasn't time. Let's see, was it difficult getting into anesthesiology? I mean, in the general sense, yes. For me, not particularly, because I kind of just, like, I didn't really know what I was aiming for, and I just sort of did the best I could. And then I was like, hey, oh, look, I'm qualified. Cool. What I did to be an optimal candidate was do well on step 1, like, study real hard for step 1, and do really well during my clerkships, during rotations. That's a big deal. The year that and I applied broadly. That's a huge one. Apply broadly. I think that's kind of common practice now, but it was not when I applied to residency. Like, I applied to 60-something programs, and I think most people I knew applied to, like, in the teens. And there's not really much reason to not do that, in my opinion. So, like, if you're spending $250,000 on your education, why not spend $1,000 on applications to make sure it's worth something? So I did that, and I had a shitload of interviews, and the year that I applied, if you had 7 or more interviews, statistically your chance of matching was like 98% or something. So I was like, and I think I had like 17. So I was like, I'm probably good to go. And I knew I wanted to stay like in the Midwest, you know, I wasn't applying to super competitive programs. So I was set. I didn't have any problems with that. Advice for first-year uni student if you want to apply to med school. Play the game, man. It's, you know, take classes you can get good grades in, and get your clinical experience in. Make sure this is something that you want to do. That's the best thing that I can advise you. Make sure, do everything that you can to make sure that medicine is actually something you want to do. You know, get some shadowing, get a job in a doctor's office or something like that. You know, inform yourself as much as possible. talk to people like me, honestly. I can be a very good resource for you. Talking about like the finances and the, real world consequences of choosing medicine. Because there are a lot of good ones, and there are a lot of really bad ones too. So yeah, just do your research. The fact that you're already on this Discord speaks very well to your chances of making an informed decision. So good for you. Can't join voice chat, but any advice for taking anatomy? Oh, dude, anatomy was terrible. That's not how I learn at all. It's just mass memorization. The thing that helped me the most was anatomy lab, going to anatomy lab and kind of trying to get a mental picture of where all the structures were and how they interacted and stuff, and like try to figure out a way that they actually form some sort of whole. I learn much better by understanding a bigger picture and understanding how things work, but anatomy is just so much like, this is this thing, this is this thing, it goes here, that goes there. And that was hard for me. Mass memorization was not easy for me. I actually did pretty poorly in anatomy. I think that's the class I did the worst in. But I just couldn't get it. I couldn't wrap my head around it. What sort of experiences do I think set me apart when applying to med school or residency? Honestly, probably not a whole lot. I think I wrote really good essays. I had good clinical experience and I knew how to spin it and present it. I had a whole bunch of degrees. I was a triple major. There were a whole bunch of people who had done an astrophysics degree, so I talked about that. Really, I was a pretty standard applicant, to be honest. I had a really good Mcat score and a really bad GPA, so, like, in a sense, those were differences that, I could talk about, but not much. I applied to 28 schools, and I got one interview and got waitlisted from it, so clearly the schools agreed that not much set me apart. Do you get more hands-on? Hell yeah, you do. You get way more hands-on. Your third and fourth years are all clinical. Yeah, so what you're hearing is do a triple degree. Yeah, man, just get 3 science degrees and you'll be fine. And get a 95th percentile score on the MCAT. That's good. No worries. It's simple, right? Do I recommend making my own flashcards? That seems to work for a lot of people. That's never been a strategy that works for me. I find that to be a lot of extra work. But if flashcards work for you, then yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go for it. Like I said, I don't really get a lot out of that. I tried doing that for a while once I stopped going to class in med school, but it was, like I said, I felt like I was just doing a whole bunch of work, like making the actual cards. And so practice questions were always best for me. What was my MCAT score? It was a 35, which I think translates to like a 518 or 519 or something these days. And my GPA was like a 3.1. Which for physics is really good, but for med school, not so much. Let's see, connections don't exist. Yeah. You can make your own connections, though. You can cold call people. From a mission standpoint, how do I feel about virtual shadowing? Yeah, I don't think it's really going to do much for you, honestly. Like, I don't know what you would get out of that. It's pretty, like, this is pretty much virtual shadowing, right? Like, asking me what I do professionally, and like you can see a video of me. It's pretty much the same deal. Farm tech is considered clinical hours? Hell, I considered it clinical hours. Why would it not be? Like, you're dealing with patients, you're dealing with medications, it's like pretty high level clinical experience in my opinion. Yeah, you can get a certification for being a farm tech, and it gets you a pretty substantial pay increase too, actually. How did I juggle doing all of the paperwork and essays for applying to 28 schools? Not well. It was really hard. I reused some of the essays, but man, it took me a lot of work. And that was actually a really tough semester for me as well. I was taking a whole bunch of upper level science courses and stuff. It was not fun. I did not play the game well. When did I get my first experience with ortho and neurology? At the very beginning of my third year of med school. I did my surgery rotation first. and I got to do a week in each of those. Yeah, sounds like a nightmare. It was absolutely a nightmare. It's fucking terrible. I don't recommend it. But yeah, again, you guys are ahead of the game. You kind of know what you're getting into. And I just, like, I applied late, and I had to, like, you know, pedal to the metal and, like, get all that stuff done ASAP. E-shadowing you meant for doctors who have patients through virtual calls? Oh, you know, that'd probably be better. That would be better off, especially if it's psych, you know, where it's a discussion-based specialty anyway. That would be interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that actually wouldn't be so bad. Because you kind of get an idea of, like, the thought process and, like, differential diagnosis and how to talk with people and stuff to get the, you know, the information that you need. If you want to go into anesthesia, am I putting myself at a disadvantage if you choose to go into DO school? Not in this area, not in the Midwest. No, not at all. Basically the guy in my group who I regard as the baddest ass of all of us, and he's the only fellowship trained guy who did a cardiothoracic surgeon actually, or cardiothoracic surgeon, cardiothoracic fellowship. Maybe he did a cardiothoracic surgeon too, I don't know, but anyway, he's DO. I think 3 people are DOs. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 DOs in my group out of 8 people. So yeah, that will not hinder your credentials in the Midwest at all. I don't know about the coasts as much, but I don't think that's a problem. You know, as long as you go to an appropriate residency and your scores are there, like, so. Oh, hey, good. The Russian spammers made it to the stream. That's awesome. Hey, guys. Let's see. They made us scared of malignant hyperthermia as dental school. How often do I see it? I have never personally had a patient with malignant hyperthermia. It has happened twice at my job since I've been there. And I think I saw it like 3 or 4 times in residency. But it is definitely terrifying. Those patients crash real fast. It is very, very serious. How long does the... Oh, that's the farm tech test. It did not take long. I just went and took it. I didn't even study for it, and I did fine. And I'd been on the job maybe like 3 months, and I took it, and it was no big deal. Is it a good idea to do farm tech when you're a full-time undergrad? I probably wouldn't, honestly, unless you just need the money. I mean, if you can do it like maybe a couple days a week or something, like work, you know, 10, 15 hours a week at most, then that might be useful. Yeah, if they just need like a low-end part-time person, then yeah, it's a good experience, and you know, that's enough work to get the training that you need quickly. How do admissions communities view gap years? Yeah, as the response below you indicates, it depends, right? So it depends on what you do. If you have something useful to talk about, like even if you just go on like vacation and you had something to show for it, then, you know, that's fine. But if you just like did what I'm doing and sat in the basement and played video games the whole time, then, you know, maybe that wasn't a great idea. But as long as you're doing something that like enriches you as a person, ideally, in terms of admissions, you would do something that enriches your app as well. But, you know, if not, then whatever. Like, honestly, if you get to the point where they ask, you know, have the opportunity to ask you about your gap year, which means you're in an interview, you've kind of already won that game, right? Because you know that they're going to ask you about it, so come up with a good answer. Problem solved. Let's see. Would I do virtual? I personally would not do virtual shadowing. I don't really even know how to do that, to be honest. But yeah, you can DM me anytime. But like, I am all over the place, dude. Like I said, I am hauling ass most of the day from OR to OR. Or like up and down to OB in the ICU and stuff. We're very like physically busy. But yeah, if you like for some reason find yourself in the Kansas City area and you want to shadow, you can do that. But yeah, as nickname says, yeah, it's it would be very difficult to implement that. What age and grade range would I have to be to shadow me? Oh, the last person that shadowed me was like 16, I think. So as long as you're like, you look like an adult and you belong there, doesn't matter. Yeah, all the shadowing shut down to COVID. I've heard that. I've heard that that's a big problem. But yeah, just cold call, man, like we were talking about. You have a hard time answering why medicine because your answer is like everyone else's. Well, you know what? It is. It is. That's the problem. Everybody's got pretty much the same answer. You know, like, you just kind of have to come up with your own spin on it. Because you know everybody's going to say, like, to help people. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with being honest and be like, hey, you know, I want... In fact, I personally, as an interviewer, would find it refreshing if somebody said, I want a career where, you know that I will make 6 figures dependably. I will make a difference in my community. I'll do something that actually has an impact on other people's lives. You know, like financial and, you know, job stability are very important. Like if you're not thinking about those things, you're not thinking about it, right? You're not like considering the whole situation. You know, I don't want somebody who's like this, you know, avatar of helping people necessarily, you know, like, because you don't know what that means. You haven't been through residency and gotten your ass handed to you for 90 hours a week, you know. You know, it sounds all well and good to like be in your ivory tower, but if you're like, yeah, man, like I want a good job, I want to be guaranteed this pay, you know, I want to be influential, I want to know all this stuff, I think it's all really cool, I want to, you know, help people in the process. Dude, great answer, right? Would I consider being a family medicine practitioner with it? Yeah, dude. Yeah, family practice, guys, like, if you want to, like, really... There's so many jobs you can do that besides being a doctor. Yeah, I mean, not treat people. Not treat people and use science on that level, yeah. But yeah, family practice is a really great job, dude. So, family practice is one of those, it's sort of like sleeper profitable. So I was talking earlier about, you know, salary is kind of a problem for a lot of the, like, less desirable specialties. But you can make that work in your advantage. So first off, like, primary care docs are in just ungodly shortage right now. So you can negotiate a very high salary, especially if you're in an undesirable area. You can get loan forgiveness. You can get all sorts of incentives. Especially like production bonuses and things like that. I mean, you can really milk a contract to be very, very lucrative for you. And like family medicine happens to be one of the quote easier residencies, which is, you know, doesn't mean anything because it's still freaking hard. But you know, it's like the lifestyle is better. The lifestyle once you're out is pretty good. Out of residency is pretty good. Pay is, you know, not great, but again, you can leverage that pretty hardcore in your advantage. So, yeah, and dude, the world needs primary care doctors really bad. Like, needs very well qualified primary care doctors, and not just people who, you know, kind of wash out into that and do it because, you know, they're kind of like, meh, like, can't think of anything else to do, you know, but people who really want to do family practice, that's what we need. That helps a lot. Having a very effective first line is huge in medicine. Let's see. Scrolling through all these comments. Dear God. Ooh. Taking the Mcat in the next 3 days? Oh, man. Dude, good luck. Good luck on the Mcat. It'll be nice to have that done, I'm sure, right? Rutabagas, what's up? Zero research. Yes, the zero research sub push. I love it. In medical school, did I do any research or volunteering? No. That made my residency application better? No, I did not. What I did was med school, but I knew anesthesia was kind of like, you know, not super competitive. Tips regarding extracurriculars in med school. They are broadly and readily available, my friend. Basically, like, if you have an idea of what specialty you want to go into, get in touch with that, that specialty, like the program director or, you know, just any doc in that specialty, and they'll point you to, like, research labs. They'll let you, you know, get involved with surgeries and, like, let you come shadow and stuff, especially if you're in med school. They'll let you, you know, come do stuff. Because in that case, that's different than just straight up shadowing when you're in college, because as a student of the school, you actually have credentials with the hospital to do things. So they can let you, like, scrub into procedures and, like, do all sorts of fun stuff. So yeah, definitely get involved there. There's lots of stuff that med students do that doesn't make any difference. Like, our, if you want an extreme example, the, like, our class president, like, the student council guy, didn't match. And he was, like, pretty qualified for, I think it was, like, radiology, too, like, something that's not, like, you know, kind of middle of the road. But, yeah, like, all of that, you know, committee stuff, like, dude, just don't waste your time. If you're wanting to do extracurriculars, do something that's clinical and ideally relevant to the specialty you want to go into. Let's see, how bad is Epic out of the OR for anesthesia? I liked Epic, actually. I think Epic's probably my favorite EMR. I thought Epic was really easy to use. And it may have just been the build that we used. Like, KU might have had a whole bunch of, like, custom stuff in there. But I thought it was very, very user-friendly once they got it settled out. It was not user-friendly at first. We had a massive clusterfuck to clean up when they first changed over to it, but it was pretty good. MD is the promised land? Kinda. Let's see, how much is insurance as an anesthesiologist? Generally speaking, unless you're a contractor, unless you, like, do locum stuff, your insurance is understood benefit. Your malpractice insurance is a benefit. So I think mine is like $20,000 or something. It's pretty freaking expensive, but that's something that the group pays for. This is making you want to be a doc more? Well, good. That's my mission, right? That's the whole point. Let's see here. Somebody said something in YouTube, and I've got to... Oh my god, oh my god. Don't do that. What can you do if you're not in good financial position for residency interviews? Take out loans, unfortunately. My school allowed us a higher cost of living for residency interviews. But I think, fortunately, these days, there are opportunities to do, like, you know, electronic interviews, like Zoom interviews and stuff. So I would request that. I would contact the, like, the department that you're interviewing with, and let them know your situation. Just say, like, hey, you know, I can't afford a plane ticket there. That's going to be really hard. Is there any way that I can do a video interview? And I would imagine they will probably accommodate that. You're considering anesthesiology? Yeah, baby. Join the gas passers. You're welcome. Anytime. Does that answer your question? I mean, that's, like, I think they will be pretty accommodating for that request. Because not everybody has, like, $5,000 just to, like, drop to fly around the country, you know? Especially after 4 years of med school. Came in the right time for the gas passers. That was for you, baby. That was for you. Applying to 40+ med schools? You should. I mean, if you got the money to do that, why not? That's just like, you know, hedging your bets. What residency is most relaxed from what I've seen? Probably dermatology. So this is good time for stories. So sorry for the question backup, guys. I'm trying real hard. This is where I am. I've got all of that to go, but I will answer as much as I can. So we had a residency council meeting when I was I think I was either in my 3rd or 4th year residency. I can't remember, but long story short, we were talking about the parking situation, which was absolutely terrible. I had to walk like 15 minutes to get into my residency every morning. Well, it wasn't that far. It was over 10 though, like well over 10 minutes from the parking lot just to get inside. And the dermatology residents spoke up and they were like, you know, I think we need some like parking passes or something because it's just terrible. And everybody's like, yeah, like we need special parking passes. And they're like, yeah, you know, when we get there at 8 a.m., there's just nowhere to park. And then everybody was like, wait, what? What the fuck? Would you get there at 8? Like, my ass is at residency at 5:30. What are you guys doing? And so that fell flat pretty quickly. So yeah, I think dermatology is probably the most like relaxed day to day. I mean, derm's a sweet gig if you can get it, dude. Like basically no emergencies, pretty low acuity stuff. Make a ton of money if you do Mohs surgery. Man. Yeah, I guess there's a reason it's really competitive. High demand. I mean, what else do you want? Yeah, all residencies are pretty garbage. Yes, agree with that. I mean, you still have to be there for, you know, it's like an, you know, intense normal job. Like, I think derm residencies are still, you know, 50+ hour weeks. It's time to start grinding derm research. Yeah, baby. Totally worth it. That's one of those things that, like, you know, if you're actually interested in it, good for you, but man, I find it so boring. It's incredibly lucrative, but damn, man. And a great lifestyle, but it's just, it's skin. Like, most of what you do is, like, acne and rashes and stuff. It's just like, no thank you. But to each his own, you know, I'm not hating, but it's just not for me. Let's see. Teach you how to dance around and spin? I don't know how to do that. I'm neither a dancer nor a spinner. Very ungraceful person, generally speaking. I basically check all those nerd boxes. You don't know if you're should stay in dentistry? Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, I don't honestly know a whole lot about, like, you know, being a dentist, but from what I understand, that's a pretty good lifestyle, and like lifestyle and pay is nice. Both very nice, especially if you've already done everything. Like, I mean, what would you do otherwise, by the way? Like, what would your alternative be? Or would you go farther in dentistry, like be a orthodontist or a surgeon or something? Dude, the maxillofacial surgeons, oh my god, the OMFS guys are badass. That's also like 6 years of training above what you have now, right? Your doctor got a 34, 35 on the Mcat. Dude, we're like twins. We're like the same freaking person. Anesthesia is your dream specialty. Mine too. How did I manage a triple major, and does the number of majors minors make you stand out and look better? So some schools, I mean, I would like to think most schools consider the difficulty of your program,
Yes.
like your college program, when they, you know, look at your GPA, but I don't think it makes a big enough difference to like go balls to the wall and get a whole bunch of extra majors. I got mine basically because it was convenient to do so. Like I just was so fucking haphazard in college. Like I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I just took a bunch of classes that I thought were cool. So I took some chemistry stuff, some physics, and I was like, oh, stars, I like astrophysics, why don't I take this? And oh yeah, synthesis and chemistry, yeah, let's do that. Okay, cool. And so I just ended up with all of these random science classes that basically were going to be elective credit because I didn't have anything to do with it. And I was like, well, I need 1 physics class for a major there, and 2 chemistry classes for a major there, and I already had a biology major because that's like basically you have to have a biology major to like get into med school. The way UNC was, like, all of the classes that you needed to get into med school were part of a biology major. So I already had that, and so I basically took like 3 extra classes and had 3 majors. So it wasn't like any grand design or anything like that. I just kind of crapped into it and was like, well, might as well like get credit for this on a bigger scale than, you know, what I would otherwise. How was work-life balance during residency? Terrible. Enough time for family and social life? No. Not at all. So, as I was saying, I worked like upper 60s hours, and you're expected to study afterwards as well. So that was not fun. And one thing that you should not lose in that is it is also not fun for significant others, because you disappear and are probably in a bad mood and or tired. So, yeah, residency sucks pretty hard, I would say, in lots of ways. Not so good for personal growth. Not so good. If I can dance and spin around your words, you can dance and spin around on the dance floor. Nice. Do I recommend taking Biochem lab to prepare for the Mcat? So, Biochem is something that is new to the Mcat since I took it. I don't know if that's useful or not. I think obviously taking a Biochem course of some kind is useful. I don't know if lab is necessary. If your lab is anything like the Biochem lab that I took, no. I would not do that, because it's a whole lot of work, and probably will not be very relevant to the Mcat. So, no. What should you say when you cold call for shadowing? Just say you're like looking to go to med school and trying to get some, you know, clinical experience, and see if they have anybody who's willing to take a shadow. It's pretty straightforward. Oh, you have to take Biochem lab as a prereq for med school? Oh, I didn't know that. I don't think I did. Back in my day, we didn't need any Biochem labs. Found shadowing with an ortho bro after patched up your dad's knee. There you go. So all you have to do is know somebody who's had surgery and leverage their sympathy to get in. Perfect. Thoughts on podiatry? I don't know much about it, honestly. Don't know much about podiatry. Seems like a, you know, pretty in-demand specialty. Like, you know, lots of people are really unhealthy and need their feet taken care of. So if that's your thing, more power to you. I don't know what their income looks like. Some of them do surgery, which kind of blows my mind. I'm not really sure why you would go to a podiatrist for surgery if you're in a, like, major metropolitan area where there's, you know, foot and ankle surgeons, like orthopods. What do I know? But anyway, yeah, I mean, it seems like a pretty good profession. You know, lots of diabetics and vasculopaths and stuff need their feet taken care of in a fashion that won't ruin them, make them infectious messes. What if you're autistic and want to go into medicine? I mean, as long as it doesn't stand in your way. I can't say I know a whole lot about the interaction of autism and like higher education. Sort of ignorant in that fashion, but you know, if you've succeeded to the point where you qualify for med school, I would say that it's not going to be an issue for you. Or I should say, it won't be any more of an issue than it is for anybody else. Not passionate about dentistry, been working for a couple of years, thinking about oral path, but it's 4 years, yikes. It's a long time. So why not go to med school and pick something you're more passionate about? Well, yeah, I mean, that's fair, but keep in mind med school is 4 years in itself, and then residency is at least 3. And realistically, your income is probably not going to improve that much with about half the specialties that you can choose. So I understand if you're sort of like disillusioned with the specialty wanting to get out, but you know, if you're going to spend 6 years or 7+ years, you might as well do like OMFS and make a freaking crap ton of money and, you know, use your existing skill set. I mean, in my opinion, if you don't like OMFS, then obviously don't do that, but but that seems like a more clear path to me. Trying to read and interact as much as possible. Yeah, I mean, that's like, you're educating yourself, right? Trying to make a good decision. Makes perfect sense. Just tell medical schools you're artistic. Yes! Twist it. Is it okay to take the biochem lab in a different semester than when you take your class? Yeah, why not? Like, as long as you got it, yeah. I mean, it might be, like, if it's supposed to be linked with the class, that might be a little weird. Might be kind of awkward just from a, like, instructional standpoint, but, I don't see any reason why that would be, like, a negative on your application or anything. Do I think optometrist should be called doctor? Is it a doctorate? I don't even know. I mean, I don't see why not if it is. What average is too low to be accepted? You're hovering around 88 or 90? You mean like GPA wise? So that'd be what, like a 3.3? That's a B+-ish? I mean, as noted, I got accepted with a 3.1. It wasn't fun, but it happened. I would,
Yes.
you know, do your best to, like, if you do indeed have a 519 on the Mcat, I think you're probably okay. I would apply to DO schools, just in case. I mean, why not, right? There's no, like, downside to that, really. So I would apply to DO schools and just hedge your bets. And, you'll probably be fine. Making sure trolls don't show up too often. No, we seem to be troll-free for the most part. Which is great. It's good stuff. Everybody's asking really good questions. I like it. Good stuff as usual. Yep. Oh, I've got some PNs. Whoops. Or DMs, whatever. What class, if you could prepare for, would I? Oh, that's from a while ago. I have no idea what class I would teach. Yeah. I have no interest in teaching a class. I like teaching in little, like, bursts that, you know, having a student in my rooms allows, but as far as, like, teaching a class, I'm not into that. What would I say to those going into medicine for the money? I would say think real hard about that, because you can probably do better elsewhere. You know, you can... Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate you dropping by. Have a good night. Happy hump day. Yeah, so, yeah, if you're going into medicine purely for financial reasons, that's not like an awful idea, but probably not a good idea. You know, if you do something, I mean, I guess it kind of depends on what your interests and strengths are outside of medicine, but generally speaking, like, you are probably a dedicated, intelligent, hardworking person, right, as we've discussed. So you could probably succeed in, you know, at a very high level in anything else. So I'd be super careful about that. But if you're doing it for the whole package, then yeah, medicine's fine. All right, next. Accept. What the hell? Oh, I have lots of friend requests. That's what it is. Oh, you guys are so friendly. You're scared about your GPA. Yeah, with good reason, right? Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's worth continuing, but, like, just expect a rough application cycle. And, you know, like I said, hedge your bets. Yeah, what was my journey to getting in like? It was terrible. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know what the Mcat was until like 2 months before I took it. I didn't apply until like late August, I think. So I was like late in the cycle, didn't know what I was doing. You know, I didn't really go out of my way to take classes that would like bolster my GPA. I sort of had, you know, I did okay on the clinical experience front because I sort of passively knew that I needed to do that, but I'd been working as a pharmacy tech for a while. So I had that taken care of. But I think we talked earlier about how I just had to like smash all my essays and stuff into this like small time period, and I wanted to make sure that they were perfect because I knew my GPA was trash. And it was extremely stressful. And I just went out of my way to like contact all of these, you know, schools and stuff and say, hey, I really want to go to med school. Please interview me. It would be awesome if you'd interview me. And like just make myself known, you know, try to anything to stand out from the crowd. And it was like a lot of waiting and only got one bite. I went to Arkansas ultimately. That was the only place that interviewed me. And they waitlisted me, and I got in May. Like kind of right in the middle where I was trying to figure out what I was going to do because I wasn't going to get accepted anywhere. So I was thinking about like, you know, a different career or reapplying or like I didn't know what the hell was going on. But yeah, I didn't apply to DO schools, so I really had no idea what I was doing. But yeah, you already have this resource again, you know, being here on this Discord is like a huge advantage that I did not have. And, like being able to apply to DO schools, also kind of a magic bullet. I probably would have been fine if I'd known about those. So, do I have any place for essay review and tips? I think Student Doctor Network used to have an essay, like, clinic kind of thing, like an essay tutor section. I don't know if that still exists. But I used to be part of it, is the reason that I know that. So you can probably get some pretty good advice there, assuming it's still around. But I don't know. Are there any people willing to read essays here on the Discord? Maybe there are. I don't know. Arkansas was out of state for me. Yeah, I'm in Missouri. I was a Missouri resident. But you know what? It was actually cheaper as an out-of-state student at Arkansas than an in-state student at Missouri because tuition is FUBAR. Thanks for doing this, AMA. You are welcome. You are very welcome. You're a hospital-based physical therapist. Okay, going back to school for med. Shout out from the KC area. Okay, cool. Another KC fellow. Let's see. What are my go-to strategies to cheer up after I lose a patient? Basically support. Everybody in the OR knows what that's like, right? That's just sort of part of the job. Do I feel like I'm good at leaving the hard parts of work at work and not carrying it home? Yes, I am very good at leaving work at work, actually, which is one of the best things about the job, honestly. Like, the fact that you don't follow patients longitudinally really helps with that. Coming home from a fresh patient loss? Oh, that sucks, dude. I'm very sorry. Sorry to hear that. That's just a terrible feeling, dude. Yeah, at least you didn't in PT school. So, this is an honest question. Do you lose people in PT often? Like, I know this sounds ridiculous, but there was somebody who coded and died in our, physical therapy, or our, cardiac rehab, gym, I guess you'd say, like 2 weeks ago, maybe? So, I know it happens, but is that like a common thing? But yeah, losing patients sucks, man. You never really get over that. It's terrible every time, regardless of how sick or moribund they are. And it's never easy. But you know, again, the fact that everybody around you knows exactly how that feels, and you know you can talk about it with them, it really helps. And like my wife's a nurse too, so she, you know, I have support at home as well. So. It's pretty easy for me to get through that stuff. And like honestly, with anesthesia, you deal with deaths so frequently that or just like straight up bad outcomes that it's I don't want to say you get used to it because that isn't true, but you have a strategy for dealing with it. And, you know, your brain's kind of like, yep, done this before. Okay, cool. UMKC has a really low tuition. So does UMKC... Last I checked, UMKC was only the 6-year program. They did not have an option for, like a 4-year medical degree. So that might be something to look into. Did I ever get sued for messing up a surgery? I've never been sued, fortunately. Knock on wood. Surgeries do not get messed up often. I can think of a couple instances, which obviously I'm not going to talk about for legal reasons, but like a couple that I know of that have been messed up. But yeah, it's very rare. Between like timeouts, we call them timeouts. So basically, you know, everybody stops what they're doing, and it's like, this is this patient's name. You know, this is the procedure we're doing. This is the side we're doing it on. The patient's been signed on the side of the surgery. Like, you know, there's lots and lots and lots of safeguards to make sure that that doesn't happen. But, you know, as always, shit happens, so, you know, you have to plan for that. But, yeah, fortunately, never had a lawsuit, never been involved in a lawsuit, so. UMKC has a 4-year thing now? Oh, okay, cool. I mean, it kind of doesn't make sense that they wouldn't, you know? Like, if you have a med school already, like, why not take traditional, you know, med school path people? I don't understand that, but yeah, in any event, good. Glad to hear it. Let's see, what are DO schools, and do they exist in Canada? I do not believe they exist in Canada. So, DO schools are, like, historically were viewed as kind of an inferior alternative to an MD. I do not know if you can practice in Canada with a DO. I honestly am not sure. But, yeah, it's an osteopathic school, and they do this, like, their sort of hallmark is something called osteopathic manual manipulation, which is kind of like, in my ignorant, don't know much about it opinion, kind of chiropractor-ish, but I think it's got a little bit more science behind it than that. But basically it's like skeletal, musculoskeletal, techniques, yes, like in manipulation and stuff, but I think most people don't ever use that and, like, leave it behind. It's sort of like a functionally useless thing these days. None of the DOs that I know use it, or whatever that's worth. But yeah, they're, like, they've traditionally sort of been, you know, kind of looked down upon, and it's been, like, harder to get a residency or get a job as a DO, but these days that's not really the case. Might kind of hurt you for extreme upper end competitive specialties, but even then I don't think it's that much of a difference. But maybe somebody knows better and can chime in and contradict that. But certainly in anesthesia, it's not a big deal. But yeah, again, I don't know if you can practice in Canada with a DO. You could get into DO schools here. I don't think that would be a problem. But as to whether you can go back, I don't know. Not lost anyone during a session, but you grew close to patients. Yeah, because you see them longitudinally, right? You see them for months, a lot of the time. Okay, so you do like critically ill, post-critical illness people. Yeah, so I guess your patient population would definitely be a little more susceptible to that sort of thing, right? Especially these days. Man, if you're critically ill and you get COVID, yikes. Not good. Or if you're critically ill because of COVID and try to recover from that. Also not so good. Oh, you're welcome for the explanation, by the way. But not DO. They wouldn't be doctors unless they're equivalent to chiros. Yeah, no, they are not equivalent to chiros. Definitely not. They are more functionally equivalent to MDs. Yeah. Yeah, so maybe that's not a thing in Canada, so bummer. Yeah, and from what I understand, the Canadian schools are pretty damn competitive, right? Like, they hold you to very high standards. Some provinces have doctor assistants. Well, yeah, I mean, it's not the same thing. Like, it's supposed to be like, it's also like a, you know, you're a medical doctor. Yeah, when I was, now that we're talking about this, I remember when I was applying, all the Canadian, like, pre-med students were, like, sad because they had to apply to, like, Caribbean schools or, like, some other foreign school if they weren't, like, super qualified for Canadian schools. Like, as the backup. That sucks. Not ideal. I feel like it would have to be with only a few schools. Yeah, exactly, right? They don't have that many schools. There's still, how many people are in Canada? Probably 100 million or something? Like, quite a few. Certainly the proportion of population to med schools is much higher than it is in the US. Especially if you consider DO schools. Less than that? Really? Let's find out. Canada! Oh, shit. Population. I can't type. Oh, 38 million. Jesus, that was way off. Still, though, I think the point stands. Man, way off. Well, that shows how much I know about our fair friends to the north. It's not much. Well, yeah, that sucks that DO's not really an option for you. That does complicate things a fair bit, doesn't it? Yeah, like I said, that would have been, like, knowing what I know now, that would have been my outlet. And I wouldn't have, you know, wouldn't have been super worried about getting into med school, because I think my Mcat would have carried me, which it did, anyway, but... yeah, I would have removed a lot of stress from my year if I had known about it. And I remember, like, my mom desperately trying to convince me to apply to Caribbean med schools. And I was like, I don't really know much about these, but they feel kind of scammy. I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I think I'd rather do another career than, you know, risk my hard-earned cash on that.
Yes.
But, I mean, I guess if you're, you know, willing to go there and kick ass and take names, then it's not a bad option, but still. I would, pretty much rather do anything else, if I could. That seems very good. Thanks. Rating a lot, can't match back into Canada. Okay, well, boo. Boo! So much for that idea. Goodness. Oh, you're heading out? Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate it.
Take care.
So what else you guys got for me? Those are all really good questions. That was rapid fire, man. I couldn't keep up. Couldn't keep up. Jeez, for what, 2 hours? Damn. Good stuff. Not bad. Not bad at all. But yeah, I hope you guys got something out of that. Don't forget to, like, follow on YouTube and Twitch and stuff, because I'm live every Wednesday and Sunday at 8 Central. Just FYI. So if you think of anything, you're welcome to DM me or drop by. Whatever you want to do. I'm pretty approachable, so. We do this all the time. I did great answering the questions. Thank you, I tried. Very few come back for more AMAs. Oh, I got this, man. I got this down. This one was not as bad as the Reddit AMA I did, though. Like the written and Reddit AMA. I spent like 15 hours answering questions, literally. Maybe more than that. It took me like 3 days to get through everything. It was insane. I think I had like 2,600 likes, like 600 comments or something insane. Message you back. Yeah, I'll get with you. Probably tomorrow, honestly. But yes, I will message you back. Or no, actually, I guess tonight because I'm off tomorrow thanks to COVID. Thanks, COVID. You just followed? Thanks, man. Thank you for following. Yeah, if you guys actually like, I linked that Reddit AMA, which there were also very good questions in that. I linked that Reddit AMA in like the helpful materials section, I believe. So, yeah, check that out. There were people who were asking some like really insightful stuff, I thought, which was kind of unexpected. Like I guess I didn't really know what to expect from it, honestly, but you know, I thought I was gonna get really hardcore trolled, and I didn't. Which is good. Thanks, Omicron. Yeah, exactly. Dude, Omicron is insane. Yesterday we had 1.4 million cases in the US. The previous high was like 300,000. I mean, before Omicron hit, the previous high was 300,000 in a day. So just like casually quadrupling our record cases. Oh, goodness. Yeah, that sucked. That sucks, man. Let's sort that, see what happens. Yeah, it's surprising that more people don't do this, actually. Like, I mean, it seems pretty easy to just show up and answer people's questions. And I have fun doing this, too, by the way. COVID has taken over. Yeah, it's hardcore taken over. I think I am optimistic that this is kind of the, like, last gasp of major, like, outbreaks. Just because it's so massively contagious. But the, like, the virulence is much lower. Like, you know, the hospitals are still getting overwhelmed because, you know, we just have so many people getting it. But, you know, the people are doing much better with it. Like, they're not anywhere near as sick. But, you know, when you have 5 times as many people getting a disease, that's a problem. It's like, suddenly, like, oh, by the way, increase your volume by 5 times. That sucks. It's really taking a toll on testing. I don't know how it is elsewhere, but, like, people are just running out of tests left and right. Do I think universities will go online for the spring semester? I don't think so. But I bet you they will provide that as an option. I bet you most professors will be like, you know, here's all of our lectures in electronic form. Don't come if you feel uncomfortable. Probably. I bet you that'll happen. But I don't know if they'll, like, that'll be mandatory. They join to see what it's like and then nope out. Really? That's surprising. Yeah, I don't know. I have fun doing this. And again, you know, like, I don't feel like anybody comes here to, like, fuck with me, you know? Like, everybody's just kind of asking good questions and, you know, like, legitimately trying to figure stuff out. And where else are you going to do that? You know, it's really hard to get access to somebody for a long period of time. You know, a physician or, you know, anybody who's, like, got insider info. Which is why I started doing this in the first place. We argue. Yay! 90% of your pop is vaccinated, but you only have 150 or 1,500 ICU beds? Yeah, I bet you are in trouble right now. Yeah, I mean, I'm, like, where my hospital is, the population is, like, 45% vaccinated overall. It's, we are hardcore in the midst of anti-vax land. And we're, like, I think in the ICU right now, there's, like, a couple kids that are in their, like, 20s, early 20s. I say kids, but I guess most of you are probably in your early 20s too. Damn it, I'm so old. Yeah, anyway, like healthy, you know, teenagers essentially in the ICU who might not make it out. Like, people who get intubated and go to the ICU generally do really badly. I think it's like, depending on where you look, anywhere from like 40 to 80% mortality with COVID. That's a lot. That is really high. Both of those numbers are really high. Feel me on the anti-vax land comment? Yeah, right. Yeah, if you're in the KC area, man, you know all about it. You know all about it. Like, the city itself, I don't think is too bad, but, you know, you get on the fringes and it drops off real quick. ICU is so packed, and your ER is too. Yeah. So we're kind of in relief valve mode, I guess you'd say, which, like, so here's the situation. So, you know, so first off, we have more people in the hospital with COVID than we ever have before by a long shot. Like, I think the previous record was 49, and we have like 58 or something like that right now. In a like 160 bed hospital or something. So like over a third of our beds are COVID patients. And I think basically our entire ICU is full. So enough nurses are out that we cannot take any more inpatients. So the hospital is not like physically full, but it is at capacity of staffing. So what we're doing is canceling all elective surgeries that require inpatient stays. So like spines, you know, like hysterectomies, you know, total joints and stuff like that, that require an some amount of hospital stay, and to be rescheduled later, which is basically the same thing that we did when the pandemic first hit. And also our surgery center is canceled. It's like their whole schedule is canceled, which is why we're essentially up a person, like we're up a doctor for the next 2 weeks. And that means that I have tomorrow off, baby! Thank you, Omicron! They made vaccines mandatory for alcohol and cannabis stores, so vaccination has gone up. Oh yeah, okay. That's a really good idea. That's a really good idea. Maybe we should do that. Screw mandatory vaccination for working in hospitals. Just make it mandatory to get booze. Perfect. Crazy that people have to go to another hospital just for simple care. Yeah, right? Yeah, I mean, everything is just overwhelmed. Everybody is just crushed. Like, you know, resource-wise. It's really bad. Definitely very bad. And I'm not sure when relief's coming, or if it is coming. Hopefully after, like, if Omicron behaves in the US like it has in other countries, then we've got about 3 more weeks of this, but after that, who knows? It's gonna be interesting. Like, interesting in a really bad way. What's to say to be said for humanity when we have to bribe people with access to alcohol in order for them to get vaccinated? Yeah, probably a lot. Not much good. Wish I had the day off due to Omicron. Instead, I see COVID people. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I will pay for it. Don't worry, because all those elective procedures are gonna come back in addition to, you know, whatever was already scheduled. So, I'll get my ass handed to me later. But right now, it's nice. Like, for the next 2 weeks, it'll be cool. But after that, maybe not so much. You bribed them with donuts and money. I mean, that'd work too, right? I don't see anything wrong with donuts and money. Sounds okay. No, it didn't work. Why would that not work? That sounds awesome. I would totally do that. Like, would you like this donut and coffee? Well, if you do, you have to get this shot. And they said no? I don't know, man. I couldn't hold off. Yeah, I want donuts too. Who are you? Shit, I didn't get donuts. I just got like swollen armpits. That's all I got for getting vaccinated.
Where are you going on?
What the hell? Oh. made friends with the donut boy and he wouldn't give you your half dozen daily. Krispy Kreme's free donut a day if you show your Vax card? Really? Dude. How have I missed that? I feel like I've been living under a rock or something. Very COVID-infested rock. I want my free donuts. Yeah, the warm and fresh Krispy Kremes are delicious, man. I used to make it in college. I lived, or my girlfriend at the time lived pretty close to a Krispy Kreme, and we would always make a point of like getting up early and going there and having donuts and then like going back to sleep. It was awesome. Totally awesome. Back in the day when sleeping in was a thing. Eternal Boomerism, that's a fantastic name. Welcome to the stream, dude. How are you? If I could have snapped my fingers and received the education for a pain fellowship without having to do the whole year, would I have gone into pain medicine? No, I would not have.
Yes.
The reason is I find dealing with the social issues that pain patients bring with them excruciating on a daily basis, to be perfectly honest. I went into anesthesia residency thinking that I was gonna do pain, like a pain fellowship for sure, as KU is starting their pain fellowship, and it's like instantly one of the best in the country when they started it. Like their volume is ridiculous. Why does everyone keep telling you you'll go into jail if you go into pain medicine? I don't know. I think the opposite is true. I think you'll do very well for yourself and have a great career. Like if you can tolerate that, then awesome. But yeah, I mean, I was in residency in like the peak of the opioid epidemic, so keep that in mind. You know, like everybody came to you like just wanting narcs, essentially. So that was extremely frustrating. And I was like, I just don't want to do that, you know? And like your whole job was like making people pissed off at you and like weaning them off their narcotic regimens and stuff. And I was like, I don't want that. I like the procedures are super cool, the medicine is super cool. You know, you make a unbelievable amount of money if you know, are like hardcore about it, but I couldn't handle it. So I didn't. I did not do that. The DEA cracking down. Yeah, I mean, there's a crackdown, but I mean, I'm sure there were plenty of pain docs that used narcotics irresponsibly, but I didn't really know any. I mean, and I think it would be very difficult to demonstrate that somebody with a pain fellowship was like misprescribing stuff, unless it was just like gross negligence. That would be really, really difficult to do, because they see the like most difficult of pain patients. You know, people who've had like multiple surgeries, tons of procedures, you know, injuries, tried any therapy that you can think of. They have spinal stimulators, blah, 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 blah. So, like, if you're prescribing those people narcotics, like, you know, how can you say that that's not warranted? The procedures are super cool. I mean, pain medicine is awesome. It's really, really cool. Like I said, the medicine behind it is badass. I think it's awesome. So, yeah, I mean, if that's, like, if you can handle the clinic, dude, more power to you. I think it's a great job. But I can't. I could, but I don't want to. I just don't want to deal with that. It's probably better now, because a lot of that, you know, narcotic issue, like narcotic weaning is done. Still. You made this Twitch account just to follow my stream? Well, that is quite the honor, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you following. I am on every Wednesday and Sunday, just for the record, around this time, 8 to 10 Central. Well, most. I won't be on this Sunday because I'm on call. I get to work 24 hours. Yay! Yeah, family shadowing prepared you for pain. I mean, pretty much, dude. Pretty much. They're the ones that get to deal with it up front. That's not fun. What kind of anesthesia am I practicing? I am just like general anesthesiologist. I'm in a small private practice, like independent group, out sort of on the fringe of the Kansas City area. So I do anything basically. Pain is the only thing that our group does not do. We used to do pain, and just it wasn't for various reasons that I will not get into, was not lucrative enough anymore. And so we stopped doing it probably about 3 years ago. But yeah, like I do hearts. I do not have a fellowship at all. But I do hearts. I probably do 40 hearts a year. Maybe a little more than that. Yeah, it's probably more like 50. Because we do about 180 a year, and I probably do a quarter to a third of them. So I do tons of regional, you know, OB, OR stuff, mostly. But it's just whatever needs to be done, I do. Which I like, man. I think I actually really enjoy hearts. I just didn't want to be like the heart guy, you know, and spend another year to do it. What is the difference between cardiac and general anesthesia? Well, I mean, you know, cardiac patients are sicker, generally speaking. And cardiac surgery brings some pretty particular challenges to it, like patients being on bypass. You know, you kind of have to keep them hypotensive and like control their blood pressure and heart rate pretty aggressively. It also requires a whole bunch of like lines, and you have to be good at something called a transesophageal echocardiogram, which I don't know, some of you may know what that is, but basically you put like an ultrasound probe down somebody's throat and you look at their heart, and you like monitor it during the case. So it requires some extra skill that most general cases do not. You want to see me do a heart? Well, there's a good chance that you will. It sounds like. Like I said, the last guy that chatted me saw a redo heart. Oh yeah, we should talk about that. Have I ever had someone throw up while I intubated them? Yes, all the time, actually. That's, I wouldn't say common, but it happens pretty frequently.
Yes.
Yeah, I've also had somebody poop themselves while getting intubated too. That happens. Yeah, so the redo heart, I mentioned that earlier, and why that's a big deal. So that is a big deal because anytime you have surgery, you form scar tissue, right? And that's like no different for your heart. So when you have heart surgery, it's possible for your heart to scar to your sternum. And when here, oh Jesus, what the hell is this? Minimize big picture. Okay, that was weird. Anyway, let's see if we can find something cool to watch. Oh, wait. Have I not shared? Oh, I can't share my screen on this. Okay, anyway. Oh, this is my, candidate population. Let's do this. All right. So we are going to try to find the opening of a heart surgery. So keep in mind, sternotomy. There we go. Median sternotomy. Here we go. Hopefully I do not get DMCA'd for this. Let's see. Okay, here we go. I guess there's no sound to this, but you can see it at least. See this? See that? That is a sternal saw. There's a little guard on the end of it, and you put it down under their xiphoid process, and you just kind of go... We'll talk... I'll actually do a whole stream on heart surgery, because it's badass. It's really cool. So there you go. They're sawing somebody's sternum open right there. Yep. Now they're pulling apart a sternum, and yeah. So, when you do that, their heart might be stuck on the underside of their sternum, and you can saw open their heart. And for obvious reasons, that is a problem. Did we clean the poo patient? No, man. That's not my job. I stay up here, not down here. That's one of the benefits of the job. That is one of the perks.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in scrubbing poo. You can't see the milkman? Here, you can. Here, I'll show you. I'll just link you the video. That's a sternotomy, in case anybody's curious. And about, let's see, 3-ish minutes in, like 2:45, they actually do the sternal saw. That's what we were watching. Dude, you can find anything on YouTube. It's ridiculous. You need to find more? Well. Here. My channel. Manage videos. Let's see. So after this, we're gonna... Yep. You don't want to listen to me talk right now. Oh wait, yes you do, because you're here. This is me talking about carotid endarterectomies. That was an awesome video. That was a lot of fun. Oh, and I guess I should link that in stream too, huh? There you go. Yeah, if you want to watch that. Carotid endarterectomies are like one of my favorite. But peds? Oh, peds hearts. Peds hearts specifically, or just pediatric surgery? I'm sure that exists. Pediatric surgery. I don't know a lot of this. Oh yeah, here we go. Malignant schwannoma. They spelled schwann wrong, but that's okay. Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, well, just YouTube it, dude. It's all up there. But yeah, I watch stuff like this with my kid. I have a 5-year-old. he thinks this is all really cool. He's gonna be so messed up when he grows up. Like he is actually, like, I sat down with him and watched like most of a heart surgery, like half an hour of it, and he was like asking me questions about it and stuff. Oh man, he is gonna be so twisted. He found a kidney transplant. Nice, that's pretty cool. Now find a liver transplant. Liver transplants are hardcore. I did a bunch of those in residency. That's a pretty, like, that's one of those things that not everybody does. But I did like 30 plus of them. I was actually on liver call on Christmas Eve 2 years in a row, and both times I did 3 liver transplants, which for most people isn't even possible because a lot of times that's like a 10 plus hour surgery. But at KU it was like 3 because the surgeons there were insanely awesome. But he's 5. Why would I do that to him? Because I'm a cruel bastard. He stumbled across that Podiatry show. I forgot what it's called, where they like look at gruesome feet. And he called it the Owie show for a really long time. And he was like 3.5 when he found that. And he like loved watching that show for a long time. And so we would watch that with him. And now he's graduated to like full-on surgeries. And he's like, that's cool. My kid's gonna be in class like, yeah, I saw 2K open. Yeah. Yeah, he'll have a lot of explaining to do, right? Or maybe I will have a lot of explaining to do. But somebody's like, so your son tells me that he watched somebody get cut open in your house. Oh. Yeah, about that. Future surgeon? I hope not. I hope he has enough sense to not choose that as a profession. It's an awesome profession, but it doesn't leave a whole lot of time for personal life. Either that or Dexter. Yeah, I could see Dexter. That'd be cool. As long as it's bad people. Let him be a lawyer. There you go. He can protect me when I do something stupid. I like that plan. Oh man. Yeah, no, he's a very interesting kid, that's for sure. Very interesting kid. You didn't realize you had to listen into this? Oh, dude. You've been missing the whole thing. Bummer. My dad is innocent. It was only 10 milligrams over the normal dose? Yeah, it's nothing. I give that to myself all the time. What's wrong? Yeah, dude, I'm old too. Yeah, a couple times ago, Shrewberry was like, you have to accept the invitation. You have to accept the invitation. You have to accept the damn invitation. Please accept the invitation. And I couldn't figure it out. I did eventually. It took me like 15 minutes.
That was not your fault, though. That's a glitch in Discord.
Well, that's very kind of you to say.
We'll just blame Discord for that.
Very kind of you to say. You're so old your knees squeak every time you bend. Yeah, I injured my back during residency at some point, and like I was lifting weights like an idiot, and yeah, now I have back problems. It sucks. Not bad, but they're there. Gotta stretch pretty good every night before I go to sleep, or else I cramp up and feel like butt in the morning. Oh well. Aging, it's a bitch. When did I study for the Mcat? I studied, like, so I mentioned earlier that I didn't actually know what the Mcat was until, like, a couple months before I took it. So I studied for about a month, I guess it was my senior year of college, yeah. So I did 9 semesters of college, but, I studied for about a month, like, right after the semester ended. And I took the Mcat in late May, I think. But I like basically just read this giant Princeton review book, and I discovered that practice questions existed like maybe like less than a week before I took the test, and did as many of those as I could. But I definitely did not have the most thought out or planned study strategy. Now I would get UWorld questions. Because UWorld is just amazing. Like, the explanations are top-notch, and the questions are all very good and relevant. I would get that and just basically solo use that. Maybe Kaplan, if you want. And I heard the, like, Anki flashcard is really good, too. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but... You sprained your ankle down the steps. So we have like, my wife and I have done that a bunch of times. We have, like, these kind of old hardwood steps, and they blend in with, like, the last one blends in with the floor, and it's kind of weird, because, like, the wall on the left side ends, like, it like, uncovers the step, you know, so it ends, like, 8 inches before the wall on the right does, so it's sort of hard to tell what's the floor and what's the stair, and both of us have, like, totally missed that stair and just totally wiped out on multiple occasions. Use UWorld. Nice. To study the blade. 20-year-old bio questions and 5 passages? Yikes. Yeah, grinding is hard, but it will all be over soon.
Yes.
You got the formula. Just a matter of getting through all that nonsense. The billboard of certain someone in KC. Yeah, the guy that wanted to do the, he wanted to be in charge of the weed bank when they legalized it. Yes, I know him quite well. Doctor and surgeon. Like, okay. Whatever you say, man. Is there an archive of taped surgeries beside YouTube? I don't know. Probably. I imagine like Mayo or Hopkins or something has something like that. That seems like something they would do. Do we have ice snow? Not currently. We had snow, what, probably about a week ago? But it really doesn't snow much here. I'd say, like, in a given winter we have, I don't know, maybe 1.5 feet of snow total most of the time, like on average.
Yes.
And it's usually like 20s to 30s. So not really cold enough for snow to stick very long most of the time. Open Thor economy, there you go. Not the weed bank. Yeah, like, so Missouri legalized medical marijuana not too long ago, and there was like this local lawyer who made a huge push to be the one who was in sole control of the medical marijuana supply. And I think that measure, like, there were like 4 measures on the ballot, and there was this huge, like, you know, push to be like, dude, do not vote for this one, and it got voted down by like 88% to 12 or something. Everybody's like, no, we're not gonna let this guy control all the medical weed. Medical marijuana be in pain clinics? I don't see why not. I don't see much of a drawback to that, frankly. I mean, they already kind of use it. Like, they have dronabinol. They've had dronabinol for a long time, which is basically just purified THC. But usually that's used as a appetite stimulant for cancer patients, but I think you can use it for pain applications as well. You'll have the best pain clinics this side of the Mississippi. Yes, absolutely. I like where you're going with this. Did I know I wanted to do anesthesia early on? Yeah, I mean, I knew that I could do anesthesia, and that was something I was interested in, for sure. I wasn't, like, 100% set on it, but I knew that was, like, I knew that was a cool profession that I liked and could handle. So, that's what I figured I would do, and it, you know, it turned out that obviously is what I ended up doing. But, but yeah, there were other things that I liked more than I thought, especially urology. Ortho, sports medicine was kind of my number 2, but I didn't want to go through what I needed to be competitive for ortho. But I thought anesthesia was cooler anyway. It's a lot more laid back, like, lifestyle-wise. Which is sort of what I was after. Man, you guys got lots of cool YouTube stuff going on in there. I might have to watch some of that. Danik and Donuts. Have a great night. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming by. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, you guys don't forget to come and see me. I guess I'll be on, what, next Wednesday? It's probably the next time I'll be on. Yeah, come hang out. Can't believe y'all are still in school. It's such a long haul, dude. It's so long. It's at least 7 years between med school and residency. Just remember that. It's brutal. Brutally long. Very, very, very long haul. Lots of opportunity cost, lots of bad times. But it is a good profession, ultimately. Speaking about undergrad, oh god, oh, ugh, that's, yeah. I mean, you won't be that old if you're 30 by the time you get in, honestly. Oh, Shocky, what's up, dude? Thank you. Appreciate you following. Welcome to the stream, even though you've been in Discord all night. Yeah, I don't know how Arkansas figured into, like, the average age of students, like, nationally speaking, but there were lots of people who were second career or just kind of, like, older, you know, like, tried something else out, and they were like, yeah, it sort of sucks. I'm gonna go back to school. Like, I would say most people were 27, 28. They were in their late 20s when they started school there, so you won't be out of it. You go to CRNA school and earn the same in 3 years. Yeah, I don't really agree with that, but you can at least get a career. Get a pretty lucrative, high-demand career. Like, same things, sort of. You touch the same subjects, obviously, but not quite in the same depth. Totally bait. Totally bait. All good. I've become pretty used to handling that.
Yes.
No worries. You just downloaded the Twitch app to follow? Wow, good for you, man. That's dedication. Appreciate it. You're a lab tech not having a good time? Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, that's a tough job, especially right now. I mean, I totally respect all the lab techs. You're constantly getting pulled in every direction. Getting run all over the place. Lab techs and nurses, like, honestly, kind of, like, the more front line you are, the harder this pandemic has been. It's really been sucky for like, nurses and techs, especially, I feel like. Because they're the ones kind of, like, getting thrown into, you know, patients' rooms and stuff constantly. And then, like, meanwhile, here, I'm twiddling my thumbs like, hey, I have tomorrow off. This is cool. I get extra time at home. Sucks for you guys. Like, I almost feel a little guilty about it, honestly. Not that guilty. Not guilty enough to, like, you know, give it up, but... but I definitely see the disparity there. You do PCR all day? Oh, no! Oh, no! Oh, no. Well, you're in high demand. For better or for worse. But yeah, man, it's good on the other end. It is. Like, med school is hard, but it's I would say overall I had a good time in med school. It sucks that it's so expensive. But like the education is really good and cool, and I met lots of, you know, like lifelong friends from med school. Like plenty of people who, you know, admittedly I haven't talked to for probably, you know, since med school, so like almost 10 years now, but I'm pretty sure I could call up any of them and be like, hey man, what's going on? I'm in town. Let's go have a beer. You know, because you kind of go through hell together and, you know, sort of forge that that band of brothers kind of bond. And actually, 2 of my good friends from med school are in my group now. So everybody's pretty tight. But yeah, residency is terrible. There's just not any way around that. It's awful. You learn a ton and, you know, you become a competent physician, but it sucks. What do I suggest to read if you want to learn to keep up with medicine? So if you have access to it, I would read Up to Date. It's a service that a lot of like academic institutions will have. But if you don't have access to that, I would read like Scientific American or Nature. Nature has a magazine, and they'll oftentimes like link journals and stuff in that are, you know, medically relevant. Or if you're interested in a specialty, you can subscribe to their monthly journal. Those are all good options. Making your med school list now. Apply to every state school. No questions asked. Scientific Brazilian, yes. Yes. I hear it's very smooth. Research trainee, but you do tech work, just no pay. Yeah. You genotype nice for scientists and postdocs. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Well, if you wanted another job, I can think of some places that might be able to use your talents. For better or for worse. Yeah, so med school list. You know, your MCAT score will influence that list heavily. But yeah, like your state schools are a no-brainer, regardless of whether you think you want to go there or not. Like, just apply. Any like neighboring state schools, if they show you any preference, would be a good option. And then otherwise, just kind of like pick some schools you think you might like, and that you would, you know, probably be qualified for. I don't know what sort of range you're thinking you might be qualified in, but do you have an IMSAR? Get a copy of the IMSAR if you don't already. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically a publication that shows you the stats and like requirements for every med school. and that'll give you a much better idea of like where you fall and how you're gonna do with your applications. Definitely worth the money. Like, I read that thing religiously. I had my years IMSAR like anxiously memorized. You know, I was like, oh my god, my GPA is so bad. Please let me in. You're looking at it now. There you go. Perfect. You're ahead of the game. Don't you worry, I don't get paid much more than you do. Bummer. I see why you're thinking of making a change. Yeah, my GPA was not good, but Mcat score was good, and that's really the only thing that got me through, honestly, and it barely got me through. But it did, fortunately, in one try at that. Oh, the AMC gives an IMSAR discount in February? Interesting. Good insider information from the boss lady. Very nice.
Yes.
I mean, that makes sense, right? Because, like, every freaking applicant is going to buy it. Might as well sell a bunch of them. The applied and matriculated is a tough pill to swallow. Yeah, right? Yes. Yeah, for out-of-state, like, state schools, it's tough to wrap your head around that for sure. Yours was free? Your MSAR was free? Nice. Good for you. You scored. I don't think it's that expensive anyway, though. I feel like mine was like 20 bucks or something for the hard copy. Which is surprising, because I feel like basically everything involved in medical education just takes the opportunity to just screw your wallet as hard as possible. Because they know you want it, and they know they gotcha. Tuning in late. How old am I? I'm 37. I went to undergrad at North Carolina. I was a triple major there in biology, chemistry, and physics. Went to med school at Arkansas. Did my anesthesia residency at KU. Milkman is the boss? I don't know about that. Mcat's gonna have to carry you. Yeah. Oh, round 3. Oh, no. What did he say? What did who say? Triple major. Yeah, I was stupid. I played the med school admissions game very poorly. I didn't know there was a game to be played, frankly, and it bit me real hard. Like, honestly, if I had to do it again, I would take I would get my bio major, because you, like, get a bio major by having all of the prereqs, basically. And I would take all of the easiest classes that I possibly could to bolster my GPA, and just be done with it. You were definitely not the surgeon's bitch as an anesthesiologist. At least I'm not. Like, you're the one that's, you know, most of the time you kind of go along to get along, but, like, if bad shit happens, you're in there to bail them out. So, yeah, that's not how that goes. That is not how that goes. Someone in the other chat had a tip. Oh yeah, apparently there's a discount on the MSAR in February. But since you already have it, that doesn't really do you much good, unless you just want to buy another copy that's cheaper for some reason. I mean, you'll save a lot of money on it. Totally worth it, right? This test has you by the balls and you're not having a grand old time. Well, don't worry, man. There are plenty more standardized tests in your near and distant future. Yay! Let's see, 3 for medical licensure, and if you choose to do anesthesia, there are 4 board exams. Yay! So much fun! Not to mention all the, like, mini practice tests that lead up to those things. Let's see. Is it important to know what kind of doctor you want to be after the first year of med school? Absolutely not. It is helpful to do that if you, yeah, so peds or onc, you'll be fine. If you wanted to do something really competitive, it's very helpful to know early that you want to do that so you can start getting involved with that specialty. So you can like start making connections, getting relevant research experience, that sort of stuff. So it's good, but I would go as far as saying the majority of people that I know changed what specialty they thought they wanted to do after they got relevant experience. So like 3rd year med school, they're like, oh shit, I actually don't want to do that thing that I thought I wanted to do. I want to do this other thing. Guess I'm polyamorous because both Mcat and USMLE love you. Yeah, they probably violently and love you in a surprise fashion, as they do so many other people. That's certainly how they treated me. Ooh, that's a big boy. Yeah, none of those tests are very fun. At all. But yeah, if you're wanting to do oncology, I don't feel like oncology is competitive. That's a subspecialty of pediatrics or medicine. And pediatrics definitely is not competitive, so you don't really have to go out of your way to pad your resume there. So that said, if you want to go somewhere like super competitive, you may still, you might have to do some research, like oncology research or something. But if you're just like looking to get in, then you're fine. I mean, and of course, if you're interested in it, do it. Like, don't let me stop you. The fact that you don't need it shouldn't, stop you from doing it if you want to. Actually, one of my best friends from med school was she did her MD PhD, and then she did a med peds combined residency, which is 4 years. I think it's like 2 years of each. And then she did her peds onc fellowship. And so she had 15 years of postgraduate training. Yay. And now she's like doing some crazy high-level research nonsense that I know nothing about. Like the last time I talked to her, she was telling me about it, and I was like, "Sweet, you're saying words." I don't know what's going on. Okay. Oh man, it's a long haul. Pedzonc, depressing, but also big highs. Yeah. Pedzonc can be very depressing for sure. But when you like literally cure someone of cancer, pretty cool. Pretty cool. What if someone did DO PhD just to do family medicine? That would be kind of overkill. Are there DO PhD programs? I mean, I guess it makes sense that there would be. But man, yeah. Not for me, man. There are. Okay. Ugh. I don't know. Just the thought of doing a PhD at all sounds terrible. I'm not into that. No, it does not make sense academically. Totally agree. Yeah, I mean, you get used to it. The mental toughness kind of comes with time and experience, unfortunately. Otherwise known as jadedness. Sister 19 lol online. God, fucking Russians. Alright guys, well I think I gotta go to bed. The wife actually has to get up and go to work, and I'm keeping her up because I'm loud. Excellent Q&A, guys. Please feel free to DM me. Come back anytime. Yeah, I really appreciate your questions. Hope you got some interesting info and useful stuff out of it. No, my wife does stay home with my kid, but she started this week actually being like nursing relief at his school because they're COVID testing so many people that the only nurse they had is just like swamped. So she's going in and helping out. But hey, Night Levano, thank you, man. Thank you for sticking with me the whole time. You're here the whole stream. You guys rock. So yeah, everybody, don't forget to follow and subscribe and all that fun stuff. And don't forget my YouTube channel. I've got some cool stuff on there that you probably would be interested in, including finance for med school, the carotid thing that I posted earlier, all that stuff. So check it out. Hope to see you soon. Oh, thanks for following, dude. Thank you. I hope you guys got some value out of the talk tonight. So yeah, I will see you guys next Wednesday, if not before, maybe, but probably next Wednesday. 8 Central. So peace out, y'all. Have a great night. Take it easy. Happy Hump Day!